And now,
Entering a judgment for that. $5,000 for the plaintiff. That's all. Step back.
Now, this is case number 184 on the calendar in the matter of Brooks versus Stout.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Brooks, these are your two sons? Mm-hmm. And you're here only because they're minors?
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't present during this incident, is that right?
No.
Why don't you have a seat? And this is your son?
Yes.
And you're here because he's a minor?
Correct.
And you weren't there during the course of this incident,
Correct.
even though if I find in the plaintiff's favor, you're going to have to pay the judgment. But you weren't there. So why don't you have a seat?
Thank you.
Now I have before me the idiots. So you're in one car and you're in another car.
No. I stand on the side of the road.
Tell me what happened, Justin.
We was driving around the square.
Listen to me. How old are you?
16.
Do you go to school?
Yes, I do.
You were driving around.
We were driving around the loop, and we was at a stop sign, and a truck...
You were at a stop sign.
Yes. And a truck was in front of me, and a truck was behind me, and they blocked me in. I couldn't move. And, like, 6 or 7 girls came up kicking out my car, and I couldn't move or anything. And then all of a sudden I see Tyson running up to my car, and
How many people were in your car?
it was me, Dustin, and my ex-girlfriend.
Now, did you know these people in the trucks that were blocking you?
No, I don't.
Where had you been that evening?
I was at my girlfriend's house because that was her birthday.
So did she have a party?
No, it was just
You were
we
just.
yes. I guess.
Go ahead.
Well, it wasn't actually a party. It was just hanging out at her house, and we decided to go cruising, so we went up cruising.
What's cruising?
Well, cruising the loop, like driving around listening
Cruising
to
the
music.
what?
Loop.
Cruising the loop.
Yeah.
What is your version of having fun?
Listening to music and talking to people on the square. That's when that accident happened.
What accident?
That when we got pretty much jumped.
So far, what you've told me is a bunch of girls came up to your car and started to kick the car.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Let's pick it up from there.
Well, he kicked out the window.
But I thought the girls were kicking the
Well,
car.
they were, and then he ran up to the car, kicked the window out, and then
Which window?
it was the passenger right window.
Pretty high kick.
Yeah.
You kicked the window out.
Yeah.
Go ahead, and then what happened?
And then Dustin was getting out of the car to run, and then Tyson cut his arm.
How did Tyson cut his arm?
I didn't see it because I was.
You didn't see it.
I was driving, so.
You didn't see it. Is that right?
That's right.
So then we go to Dustin.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you twins?
Yes, ma'am.
You always dress alike?
No, ma'am.
Did you do that especially for me today?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you thought it would
Yes, ma'am.
confuse me?
No, ma'am.
You're Dustin.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened to you.
When I was getting out.
What were you getting out for?
To run, because there were so many kids around. I ain't sticking around.
Just a minute. How many kids were around?
Probably 15.
What were they doing around your car?
Actually, I don't know. They don't like me.
Dustin, something tells me something happened before that, Dustin.
Actually, there was nothing happened. They don't like us because in the past there was the girls.
Who's we?
Me and Justin. The girls that we was going out, they was going out with their boyfriends and everything, and they didn't like us. And the
I want you to, at all times when you're testifying, I want you to look in my eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
So the girls didn't like you because they were going out with their boyfriends and blah, 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 blah. I didn't get anything after that. That made sense.
Because we get in fights with them because they don't like us, okay? So
you get in fights with the girls or the boys?
The boys. And so the women hates us for that.
So the girls hate you?
Yes.
Why do you get in fights with the boys, Dustin?
Because I don't know how to read and they pick on me and I ain't taking nobody's crap. It's that. That's the reason.
And so, because of that, you think that these people don't like you. You don't say anything to them.
No.
You never start up with them.
No.
Does your brother know how to read?
No.
Is there any reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
What do you mean you don't know? do you go for special tutoring?
Yes.
For how long?
For how long? Since we was in kindergarten?
Do you go to school every day?
Yes, ma'am.
Every day?
Not every day, no.
Dustin, don't throw the bull at me. Because if you can drive a car, I assume you have a license, you had to take a test. You had to take, as part of the test, a written test.
We didn't take a written test, ma'am,
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
How come?
because we don't know how to read.
So they allowed you to drive a car without knowing how to read. Stop, go, hazard ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
What state is that?
It's Iowa.
I'm staying out of there. How often do you go to school? Once a week, maybe?
No, ma'am.
The reason why we go probably once a week is because we don't get taught nothing, because they didn't teach us timetables or multiplication tables or anything like that.
So now you stay home and cruise.
No, I don't cruise anymore.
So tell me what happened, Dustin, after you were going to get out of the car and run.
Well, I put my left arm up on,
Watch, right here.
I put my left arm up on the door, and I was looking down to push myself up out of the car, and Tyson come up and cut my arm, and I look at him, I see the knife in his hand, and he took off running with everybody else took off running, and Justin tells me to get back in the car, sit down. By then the truck was in front of us, was gone. We took off, went to the hospital.
You went to the
I got
hospital?
5 stitches, and there's pictures and stuff like that my mom has.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
One of my friends told me because he was going out with one of the girls at the time that they liked. They've threatened to kill his baby before.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
16-year-olds Justin and Dustin Brooks claim 17-year-old Tyson Stout attacked them with a knife. Tyson says the twins threatened to kill his friend's baby.
Now, were you charged with assault?
No, ma'am.
What were you charged with?
Burglary in the 2nd degree.
Burglary.
Forcing entry into an occupied structure.
Tyson, I want you to tell me, and I want you to be very careful, Tyson, because, you know, I already got their story. I want you to tell me your version. By the way, you go to school in Iowa?
I don't go to school. I got my GED. I'm starting college in February.
Does anybody ever finish high school in your jurisdiction?
No.
No. All right. Tell me what you were doing standing on the side of the road, and what was going on at the side of the road where these guys were cruising.
Me and some friends were just staying around.
Listen, you're starting college next year?
Yeah. Some friends and I.
Yeah.
We're standing around talking, having fun, and then these two, they just keep on driving around mouthing and
Mouthing what?
just calling us names and
Like
running
what?
old stuff like that. And the F word,
And how many times did they drive around?
probably 2 or 3.
Any of that sound familiar to you? Justin and Dustin?
No,
No,
ma'am. because
Go ahead.
Then about the 3rd time they pulled around, we had a car, not a truck, stop them. And one of my friends told me, sticking up for one of my friends, one of them told me that they've threatened to kill his baby before because that he was going out with one of the girls at the time that they liked, and she had a baby. And he told me that
How old was this genius?
at 18.
Go ahead.
I was going to go up and say something to him. He rolled up the window real quick, got mad, kicked the car door.
You went up to the car because you were really mad because a friend of yours told you that somebody disrespected somebody,
Threatened his family.
threatened his baby,
Yeah.
so that you went up to the car to confront them, which was very
Wrong.
stupid.
Yeah.
And then he did the smart thing, rolled up the window,
Yes.
because he had been doing a very stupid thing, cruising around and calling people names and, you know, just being a general Tweedledum and Tweedledee, being two idiots, right?
Yes.
Because I expect the truth from you. I really expect the whole truth from you. From them, I didn't get the truth so far. All I got from them was they were just driving around being very mild young men because they suffer from a handicap, because they can't read, because they have a disability, because despite the fact that they go to school every day and try very, very hard to learn, they can't learn to read, right?
Yep.
So I expect the truth from you. And you went up to the car, and how many times did you kick the car?
Once.
And when you kicked the car once, did you break the window?
Yes.
What happened next?
I ran to a friend's car, got in the car, and left.
Did you at any time cut Dustin with a knife?
No, ma'am.
Were you ever charged with cutting him with a knife?
No, ma'am.
Anybody have a police report?
Your Honor, I went to get a police report, but they couldn't release it because he was a juvenile.
Nobody has a police report.
I couldn't get one.
Now, you were found guilty of whatever, of vandalizing the car, which you did kick
Burglary.
at least once. Burglary.
Yes.
Was this the first time you were convicted of anything, or have you been convicted of something before?
Had a possession of alcohol charge before and assault causing injury before.
Assaulting whom?
A kid is picking on my little sister.
And what did you do to him?
Put him in a headlock, slammed him into the locker.
Tyson, you got to learn to control yourself.
I have.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Well, you haven't. At least you didn't on that evening, because you went up to the car for no reason. This fight didn't concern you at all.
No.
And you went up there and kicked their car. Now, according to you, Justin, there were a lot of girls around there who were kicking your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you charge any of them?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was not going to get out of my car because there was too many of them, and I'm not going to get out of my car to hit a girl.
I didn't ask you why you didn't hit him. I asked you why you didn't tell the police that there were a lot of people there kicking your car, making dents in your car before he came.
We did.
To
I
the
did,
car.
ma'am.
Did you have damage to your car?
Not by the girls.
How do you know that?
Because I live on a gravel road with and I had a lot of dust on my car, and there was no dents or anything.
So the only damage that was done to your car was him knocking the window out of your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
And when I was trying to get out of the car, I accidentally put my foot through, like, where my speaker was, because my foot got caught.
What were you trying to get out of the car for?
Because I was going to run.
15 people around you and you were going to run? Or were you going to fight them?
I was going to run.
Have you ever been arrested before?
Yes, ma'am.
For what?
Fighting.
There's no such crime in the penal law as fighting.
Assault.
There's assault in the penal law. And you?
Same thing.
Assault.
Yes.
How many times, Justin, have you been arrested for assault?
Numerous times.
And you, Dustin?
Same thing.
How many times have you been found guilty of assault?
Every
Many
time.
times.
Because I committed to him.
What do you mean you committed to him?
I said
Plead guilty.
I told him that I did it. I didn't lie about it.
But you don't learn. Can I see the paperwork on the order of conviction for burglary and any other paperwork that you have with regard to a court order by a judge? Moms, you can stand up now. I want to see it. Tyson, how come you lied initially?
So I didn't want to get in trouble for it.
Who did you lie to? Police?
My JCO,
What's JCO?
juvenile court officer.
And when you lied to the juvenile court officer initially, Tyson, did you lie to him the same kind of face that you're lying to me?
No.
I want you to show me your lying face.
Grin.
What?
I have a grin on my face when I lie.
Really? He believed you when you lied to him initially, right?
Yep.
It's just sometimes hard to figure out who's lying and who's not.
Yep.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Ah, right. Because the first time you spoke to your juvenile officer, you told me you didn't know. I don't know. I wasn't there. Well, after you had this problem in 1999, Tyson, you were expelled from school for another problem with another student. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Got a bad temper?
Yep.
Now I'd like to see the paperwork you have as a result of this incident.
I just got medical bills here.
So you didn't turn it into your insurance?
The hospital didn't turn it in, no.
I'm surprised. Why not?
That I have no idea. They didn't turn it in. The insurance cards was there, but they never turned it in.
Well, they will. They will. They should. And your boys are covered?
They're covered.
Now I'd like you to come up here, Dustin, because I want to take a look at your arm.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the scar?
Yeah, big one right there. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Tyson, I have to make a judgment whether or not you actually cut Dustin with a knife. And it is my belief that you did. Because when somebody is injured like that, and there's no question, I've read the hospital records, and there's no question he had a laceration, and there's no question that he had sutures. When that happens, you want the person who is responsible to be prosecuted. Now, you were, in fact, charged with assault with a weapon. The fact that you pled guilty to cover all the charges and the rest of the charges were dismissed doesn't mean that you were found not guilty of those charges. It means that you pled. It means that you pled out.
Plea bargain.
That's right. Look how smart you're getting. You also have a temper. Now, these two idiots were driving around, and their mother knows that they were driving around doing the wrong thing, right?
Well, yeah.
They were doing the wrong thing, but that doesn't give you license to take out even a pocket knife, which is what you took out, and cut him. It doesn't give you license to do that. You're lucky. You're lucky that they let you get away with it.
But I didn't stab him, ma'am.
Yes, you did. You stabbed him. You didn't stab him. You cut him. I mean, stabbing is this way.
His ex-girlfriend came up to me last week and apologized for lying to the cops about it.
Listen, you tell me who cut him.
Nobody did.
Sure they did. He was cut.
He cut himself.
How?
With a knife?
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
You think that he's dumb enough to do that? I mean, it's possible.
Yes, I do.
It's possible that he's dumb enough to do that. Possible. I don't think so. And the problem is that you put yourself in the situation by going over, getting involved in a situation that you had absolutely no reason to be involved with. Somebody said something made you mad. You went up to the car, kicked the car, knocked the window out. Stupid. The fact that you started it because you were looking for trouble, driving around, shouting out of the car, you were with your girlfriend, it was her birthday, your mother shouldn't have let you drive a car anyway. They don't go to school. You explain to me why they don't go to school.
They've been on add and subtract since they've been in second grade, and I'm tired of it. 95% of the kids in Iowa get their GED.
In any event, I find that you cut them. I also find that they're a little bit culpable themselves, and that they had no out-of-pocket expenses with regard to this injury because the insurance is going to cover it. Now, did he pay for breaking the window?
No, I've got the estimate on
Just tell me how much it was for breaking the window.
the window. Is at $189, but I've got pictures of other damages that was done to the car.
Yeah.
I don't care what the other damage was done to the car. There were 12 girls around the car that they chose not to identify because your son said, well, we live on a dirt road and the car was very dirty. He went up, he kicked the car, he kicked the window out of the car, and there were 12 other people involved. So it's $189 for the car and $1,000 for cutting him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,189. That's all. Fix it yourself. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is case number 226 on the calendar, the matter of Yankowski versus Schaefer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Yankowski, you rented a room from the defendant. It was a short-term arrangement. You weren't happy. He wasn't happy. You claim he owes you money. That money is from your security deposit, which he didn't return. And you also want a whole bunch of punitive damages. Because how much was your security deposit?
$450.
$450. But you're suing him for $2,000 because you say he aggravated you. He says that you're a troublemaker, that you used up your security deposit because you made a big mess. And he's counterclaiming for $1,600 because he says you owe him for rent, punitive damages, you caused him to lose a tenant, and you aggravated him. So he wants a whole bunch of money from you. Don't people know how to, if things don't work out, just to go their separate ways and say goodbye?
If they did, we wouldn't be in business.
When did you rent the room, Ms. Yankowski?
I moved in on June 8th.
You found them through an ad in the paper, through...
Through a rental service. You pay money, they give you a listing.
How much was the security deposit?
$450.
Is that right so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the rent for the room?
The rent for the room was $450 plus utilities.
How long did you stay?
A month.
And you paid for the month that you were there?
Yes.
During that time, he gave you a 30-day notice to leave?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you keep her security deposit?
First of all, she caused some damages to my home.
Tell me.
After I gave her the 30 days notice, she was going around slamming cabinet doors that were just remodeled, and they bent.
The cabinet doors bent?
Yes.
What kind of substance did you remodel them with?
Wood.
And she bent the wood? Mr. Schaefer.
I can show you easier than I can tell you. Sure. And she also left water on the floor during her showers. Here's the cabinet door that she bent. This is also, she was throwing away the silverware in the trash after I gave her notice.
Did you slam this door and cause this damage?
No, I didn't.
What makes you think she did that, sir?
I was in the room when she did it. I watched her do it.
Show me how she did that. Describe to me how she did that.
She was going under the sink. She took the door and slammed it.
Yeah.
That's what she did. And
No,
that's
that
what,
doesn't happen as a result of slamming a door. No. What else?
the damage to the floor and the wall in the bathroom.
Let's take a look at that. Danielle refused to wipe up water after her showers. I had to do it for her. Water damage on the floor and wall. Looks like you didn't take really good care of his property.
There was a towel on the floor in the bathroom that I used every time I took a shower. There was also another female living in the house, and every time
Another tenant?
Yes.
Was the other tenant also using this bathroom?
Yes, she was.
Didn't have a different bathroom?
No.
Okay. Now, what else are you suing for? And let's make the other stuff fast, because I have a low tolerance level for nonsense.
Well, the entire time I was there, he pretty much made my life a living hell.
That's a good reason to move.
Yeah, with sexual harassment and...
Like what?
Like, we were watching that movie, Monsters Ball with Halle Berry. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but in that movie she's naked. And he made the comment, oh, well, that's what your body looks like naked. I'm just like, okay, how would you know? And he's just like, well, I can kind of tell.
True.
We were sitting at dinner one night, and he mentioned how big my breasts were and what they looked like naked. I was on the phone with a guy one night. When I got off the phone, he's just like, oh, who is that? The only reason he'd be calling you is if he had sex with you. Use a different word. He told me that the only reason any guy would ever talk to me is if he had a sexual interest in me. One night I had a guy come over. He was coming over, he was going to pick me up, we were going to go out. The next morning he asked me, oh, so did you guys have sex? And it's just like little comments like that.
Did it bother you?
Oh, yeah.
Did he really irritate you?
Oh, yeah. And then
So you were planning on moving?
Yes.
Because he was acting like a jerk?
Yes.
He didn't touch you?
No.
Did he? He just made sexual innuendos. Like a jerk?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you met jerks like that before?
Yes.
It's not the last one you're going to meet.
I know. I know.
If he said it, and I don't know, Mr. Schaefer, I don't know if he said it, but if he said it, it's a jerk. You were going to move. He gave you a 30-day notice before you gave him notice. Goodbye. You get your security deposit back. Go and be happy. Anything else you want?
Well, I mean...
Anything else you want?
No.
Perfect. Now, what do you want?
First of all, I want her to pay for the damages to the house.
She's not paying for the damages to the house, sir.
Okay.
You had more than one tenant, and there is no way that I can tell which one of the two girls who showered got water on the wall.
Okay.
Next.
She moved her brother into my home, into her bedroom, and I told her that she wasn't allowed to sublease.
So?
So she was having her brother live there, and he was going to my neighbors, telling them that I was and slandering me.
What difference does it make with regard to this lawsuit if her brother was saying something? What does that have to do with her?
Because she brought him into my home.
Did you ever hear the expression, I am not my brother's keeper? That's from a very old book. Very old. Next.
She went to my tenant and was telling her things.
Where's your tenant?
She moved out with her.
Were you there when she made remarks to your tenant about you?
Yes.
Oh, good. What did you hear her say about you?
That I was making sexual remarks to her, which I wasn't. The only sexual remark that was actually said was when she was walking down the hallway. One day I asked her what was going on, and she said she came out of her bedroom saying that she was masturbating feverishly.
Oh my God.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I had no idea any of this was going on at all.
My mother was in tears. I was in tears.
I'm thinking my wife left me before I got married, but I don't know what's going on.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Danielle Yankowski says landlord Rick Schaefer owes for the return of her security deposit and for making inappropriate comments of a sexual nature.
Sir, I don't understand what you're suing her for.
Well, I lost a tenant because of her. She didn't know the tenant.
I have no idea whether you lost a tenant or not because if a tenant's not here, even if it's true, the tenant wasn't happy, the tenant can leave. But you can't tell me the reason that the tenant moved because that's in somebody else's mind. I find that I cannot determine who caused the water splatter in the bathroom because you had more than one tenant using the bathroom. And her brother said things about you that were not nice. Is that right?
Yes.
So what do you want?
I didn't want her to bring anyone in the house in the first place.
So she did. So you evicted her, right?
Yes.
If you weren't unhappy with her, you wouldn't have given her a 30-day notice, right?
Right.
She was a good tenant and someone that you were satisfied with. Everything would have been cool, right?
Right.
So you did what you were supposed to do. Give her a 30-day notice and say, bye, return a security deposit, and you all go your separate ways. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $450. Your counterclaim is dismissed as nonsense. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was threatening me.
He figured that he wouldn't be able to sleep with me and, you know, decided that he would harass me.
Be aware of little girls.
Beware of creepy old men.
Your Honor, this is case number 93 on the calendar, the matter of Gadar versus Wall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Goddard, it is your claim that the defendant owes you for some rent and a cell phone.
As well as some other charges.
And Ms. Wall says she owes you nothing. She was your girlfriend for a while, is that right?
We were dating. Everything started back in October. We started going out in October of 2001. At the beginning, it wasn't anything very serious.
I don't want to go into the romance, Mr. Goddard. I just want you to tell me, sir. I just want you to tell me. There came a time that she moved into your apartment.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She moved in on February.
You have to listen to me. I ask questions. I know you want to tell me everything, but I have to do it in a certain order. When did she move into your apartment?
She moved in on February the 15th.
She moved in on February 15th, and this was to be a short-term arrangement because she was waiting for an apartment. Is that right?
Supposedly she was looking for something.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her when she moved in, according to you, on February 15th.
Okay, on about February when she decided she was, I think, they had some problems on her old residence. So we agreed, me and her, that she would move in with me and pay half of the rent, which is $500, and I have here the lease.
Just a minute. You're going to get just a second.
Also, that she was going to go ahead and pay for the bills, half of the bills. And I had every reason to trust her because, I mean, she invited me to go visit her parents. I had a long stay with her over there in Texas, where she's from. You know, great people, great family, and, you know, I had every reason to trust her. I said, okay. So she was having some financial difficulties, and she said that she was expecting some check, I think some investment check. So I said, okay, you know, pay me at the end. And when Tom came in, where I said it was in the beginning of April, exactly April 10th, and I said, look, you need to pay me for the past 2-month rents and pay me for your phone bills. She said, okay. She started, okay. 2 days later, she said, okay, we're breaking up. I'm moving back to Texas. And what she did was she did transit and move in with Amanda. Okay, and from there, you know, she did the same thing with Amanda, and this is my witness exactly, and she did the exact same thing with her. And I have a whole lot of mail right here to prove it.
Mr. Goddard, are you ready for me to ask you questions now?
Sure.
How long had you been living in this apartment?
I've been living there for over a year.
And were you living there
It's
alone?
a house, actually.
House. And you've been living there alone?
I've been living there with my brother and another roommate.
And how many bedrooms are in this house?
There's 3 bedrooms, but she agreed that she's going to share.
Just answer my questions. 3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms.
You have 1 bedroom?
Yes, I do.
Your brother has 1 bedroom. Is that right?
But me and Rachel were dating.
Listen to me. I don't want you to think, Mr. Goddard. Listen to me, Mr. Goddard. I don't want you to think, sir.
She was taking 50% out of my closet, so I think she was sharing my room right there.
Who do you think is smarter, you or me? You think because you're trying to get 1 step ahead of my questions that you're smarter than I am? On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day. So I want you to pay careful attention to my questions and answer my questions. And you'll answer them truthfully, or else I'll wring you out to dry. Do we understand each other? You have 1 bedroom. Correct? Your brother has 1 bedroom, correct? And then there was a 3rd roommate that had a bedroom, correct? That's 3 bedrooms. So would it be fair to say that when Miss Wall moved in with you, she was staying with you in your bedroom? Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
Good. Wasn't that easy? You see, there might be a chance for us. Now, your share of the rent was how much, Mr. Goddard?
It was $500.
So the rent on the house was $1,500 a month? Is that right?
It was $1,475. I was paying $500 since I was having the largest room.
And you always had the largest room. You didn't just get the largest room when Miss Wall moved in
Yeah,
with you.
I always did have it.
When Miss Wall moved out in April, did you find someone else to move in?
And no, I didn't.
So you're still in the big bedroom by yourself. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
You see, he's trying to think, Bert, you know, and it's really so interesting to watch the mind. Where is she going and what is she doing? All right. So, before she moved in, you're living in the big bedroom all by yourself, paying $500 a month rent. According to you, she moved in on February 15th. I would like you to show me a piece of mail that she received at your house during the month of February.
I didn't open them. It's
No,
not my
you
mail.
just, we have postmarks.
Yeah, postmark, sure.
Take a look at postmarks.
Exactly. That's smart.
Bert, would you help him out to show me where the postmark is?
Yeah. In February, she carried all her mail.
Just listen to me, sir.
She would live there.
Just listen to me. Find me February.
I cannot find February.
Right on.
And the reason for that is because she lived there and she had all the mail when she was living with me in February, which means she kept it with her.
Now
when she moved
find
out.
me March.
She lived there in March as well.
March, I know March. She said she lived there.
Yeah.
From March 1st until
How can
April
I have
15th.
a piece of mail of hers for March if she lived there?
Because maybe you kept it. Maybe you kept the envelope.
No, I didn't keep
for
anything
proof.
from her.
Nothing.
She kept everything she had. All
Now,
this
is that
mail,
all her mail?
All the mail that I have.
Shh. Is that all her mail?
Yes, it is. Ma'am.
And that's all her mail? You kept that mail?
Yeah, I kept receiving it.
He wouldn't give it to me.
You kept that mail?
Not-
You want to go to federal prison?
Not true.
Do
She
you want to
never
go to
asked-
federal prison? Keeping her mail? Could I see all that mail, Bert?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Goddard doesn't want to go to federal prison. While he's gathering up the mail, Miss Wall, you want to tell me when you stayed with Mr. Goddard from whatever date to whatever date. Did you share his bed?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you intimate in his bed?
At times. He was
Were
my
you
boyfriend.
working at the time?
On
The
and
answer is not an answer. The answer is people usually know whether they're working. Were you working at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing? Is not an answer.
Different jobs here and there.
Like what?
I worked security downtown.
What else?
That was mainly it. That was where my income was coming from.
You know you're not telling me the truth, Miss Wall. I'm not going to press you.
I had several different jobs. I'm
kept
trying to
getting
think what jobs I was
Can I-
at when I was living with him.
to you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He was the one that chose.
I didn't
to
ask you
cancel.
anything else. Of course you chose to cancel it, madam. You have a big mouth and you're a liar and you use people for money.
And later today,
One of the people that you had asked for help
Yes.
backed it up into her car, got out, left the car running, and relocked the car.
Yes.
I want you to hum for me the theme from The Twilight Zone.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Aladine Guidar says ex-girlfriend Rachel Wall owes for rent and telephone bills.
You owe people a lot of money.
Yes, ma'am.
How come?
I've been a student, so I haven't been able to work as much as I needed to.
Then you don't rent things from Blockbuster. And you
That's a
don't-
lie, sir. Ma'am, she's not. She hasn't been a student, Your Honor. She's been
I've been a
lying to
student
her
at G
parents
Boutique. It's a
that she was a student and she wasn't.
beauty college.
So her parents kept sending her money for rent, and she kept it and kept on with the life. They go out, they're having
Would you
drinks,
give
they're
this back to Miss
hanging
Wall,
on.
please? These are all of her bills.
And,
Mr. Goddard, now I want you to get over the rent. Whether she was there for 6 weeks or 7 weeks, I'm quite frankly not interested. I want you to tell me about the cell phone and the bill for the cell phone.
Okay, on about the month of April, me and her were not being able to get in hold of each other. She was always away. She wasn't able to pay her old cell phone, which I found out only till now. So they got disconnected, and she said she needed a cell phone. We went to the place. We checked out the cell phones. I really trusted her. She was my girlfriend. I cared about her. I really loved her. I've seen, like I said, her family, And I mean, I've had pretty much every reason to trust the person. I mean, I say,
Except she didn't
why
pay
not?
you any rent, sir.
Exactly. She didn't pay me any rent. She was saying.
So what happened with the cell phone? She got one cell phone disconnected because she didn't pay the bill. She hasn't paid you any rent. So you decided that since you couldn't get together with her, you'd get another cell phone. Is that right? You went to a store?
No, I didn't get her the cell phone. She went there. She tried to get the cell phone herself.
Yeah.
Okay, she applied. She got refused. She said, can you co-sign for me?
Yeah.
Okay, I said, I had every reason. I didn't know that back then that she owed so much money until now. I didn't know she was like this.
2 weeks later, you threw her out because you asked her for the rent money.
She broke up with me going, I have my witness, Your Honor. She knows exactly what happened because she moved in with her.
So tell me what happened with the cell phone, sir.
What happened with the cell phone is we got the cell phone. She broke up with me. I said the first thing is, okay, the first thing I want to get taken care of is take over the cell phone. Call somebody, call your mom, have them take over the bill, which means they're going to co-sign for you again. She said, okay, I will do that. I gave her a month. I contacted her several times.
How much did she rack up on the cell phone?
$344.3 for just regular charges plus $150 of disconnection fee. And here's Your Honor. Here's everything.
Let me see that. Now, Miss Wall, tell me about this cell phone. That's the charge I'm interested in.
Well, it was his idea to get the cell phone. He couldn't get a hold of me. He was always wanting to know where I was. And I had canceled my other phone.
I don't want to hear your voice again until I look in your direction.
I canceled my other cell phone because I had some disagreements with, which is the company that I...
Oh, give me a break. You owe them money. So they cut you off. Don't give me disagreements. You know, what are you, a con artist? You have bills here, your bills. $344 is your bill, plus a disconnection fee, which I assume he did in order to get his name off this whole account. Who did you expect to pay this bill?
I was going to pay for my bill.
Good. That's fine. That's perfect. But?
It was his idea to cancel, and he was the one that wanted me to get a phone. He pressed the issue and got the phone for me. He used my phone for calls as well. He made some of those calls, not just me.
When you left, did you take the phone?
Yes, I took the phone because I paid for it.
No, you didn't. You didn't pay your bill. You took the phone, and you used the phone, but you didn't pay the bill. Now you have to pay the bill, as well as the disconnect fee, which altogether comes to $499.
He was the one that chose
I didn't ask you anything else. Of course you chose to cancel it, madam. You have a big mouth, and you're a liar, and you use people for money. You lied to me today. I mean, I don't believe him with regard to you're going to pay half the rent. I mean, he lives in a room, one room. He's paid $500 a month rent for the year that he's been living there. He's not out any money. It's not as if he's taking a lease on an apartment. He's got a full-time live-in person who lives with him, shares his bed, and she was there for 6 weeks. And he wants rent? Get a life. All right? Cell phone bill is a different story. Cell phone bill is yours. You use the service. You pay for it.
He would not give me my bill so I could see to pay for it either.
Oh, well, now you're going to get your bills. Now you're going to get your bills. That's easy. Any other bills you claim she owes you, sir?
Yeah, some cell phone that she made, some phone calls that she made all throughout. Calling her voicemail, calling. It was comes up to the amount of $30.
Get over it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $499. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was involved in a lot of drug usage.
Like the judge says, he was a liar.
Everything escalated into an argument or a fight.
She cheated on me.
I wanted out of this relationship for a reason.
Uses a lot of people, and she's just going through people like underwear.
Now, this is case number 156 on the calendar in the matter of Gray versus Ashpole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Gray, you and the defendant dated briefly while she was separated from her husband. And according to your complaint, during that time you made 2 loans to her. The first loan was for an attorney, and the second was to catch up on a mortgage payment. The defendant says you never made any loans to her, but did give her money. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Now, when did you meet her?
It was during bowling season.
I don't know when bowling season is, sir.
About 2001.
Excuse me?
In the fall.
Can you get any closer by, say, month?
Okay, August. How's that?
August of 2001.
Yes. And we were just friends up at the bowling alley, sitting there talking and, you know, joking around. Eventually, right
You
around
met
St.
bowling-
Patrick's Day. All right.
We're going to have a conversation here, which means
Okay.
you'll talk and then I'll talk.
Okay.
Did you meet her at bowling?
She was a waitress. I was a bowler. Yes.
When did you separate from your husband?
In June.
So you were separated at the time that you met the plaintiff, is that right?
No, we were friends when I was at work. So I knew him while I was still married, yes.
But in August of 2001 is when you started to date him?
No.
When?
May of 2001.
And when did you separate from your husband?
In June.
Okay. Shh. When was this loan for a lawyer?
Roughly August 2001.
Is that right?
July of 2001.
Now I'd like you to tell me the circumstances surrounding that, sir. You're not very good at dates. Let's see if you're better at the substantive part of it.
I'm the lawyer. She come up to me and she was having trouble and she wanted a divorce from her husband.
But you were dating at that time?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I had a good lawyer friend that I referred her to, and he cut her a deal and gave her half of the retainer fee. So I gave her the $750 in cash so she could go get things taken care of. And at that point, I made her understand it was still a loan to her, not a gift.
How did you make that clear, sir?
Just by talking and told her what I said.
I want you to tell me
and
what
then
you said and what she said.
She told me she would pay me back within a reasonable short amount of time.
She said she would pay you back?
Yes, she did.
Now, what's your version of the lawyer story?
The lawyer story is that he had
Look at me.
this great friend that worked on his divorce case, and I needed to get this started. And he gave me the money.
Now, what did you say to him and what did he say to you?
Let me give you the money. Let me help you. Let me give you the money to get it. Otherwise, where are you going to be? You're not going to have an attorney. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at you. You're not going to have an attorney without any money. Let me help you. There was nothing ever about any loan.
Well, why would he give
any
you
payback?
Why would he give you that money? Why would you not expect to
He
pay
wanted
him
my
back?
divorce.
You wanted a divorce. Why?
I think actually he wanted it probably more than I did.
No. No. Why would you think that you should not pay him back?
Because I didn't, at that particular time, I did not have the means to pay him back, and he knew that. I had told him that, and then this is also about the mortgage.
So you didn't get to the mortgage
I know.
yet.
But I knew that I have 3 children. I'm not getting child support. I'm a working mom. I'm not going to give up my home. At one point, I even had 3 jobs to support my means.
Okay. Now tell me about the mortgage payments, sir.
Well, she was
That's the
behind.
second loan.
She was behind 3 months in her mortgage.
How did you know that?
She told me.
Where were you when she told you that?
We were probably just sitting in her bedroom.
Go ahead.
And she said she was 3 months behind. And she asked if I could help her out. And I said, yes, I can. But again, I loaned her the money. And I made the payments.
Now we'll hear you.
I have never asked him to give me money. I have never asked him to loan me money. I never asked him for anything. We might have been sitting on my bed talking, and I was venting because I was very upset. I was behind. I was not getting any help from my husband that had moved out. But I had never asked him for anything.
You told him that you were 3 months behind in your mortgage payment. How did he pay the mortgage payment?
Actually, I was paying bills, writing things out.
On the bed?
Because I had it out, right. I was paying my other bills that I could afford to pay. I could not afford to pay this. He took the statement out of my hand, picked up the phone, and made a check over the phone to pay the mortgage. And I was telling him,
Is that
no,
right, sir? You paid
please
it over
do
the
not
phone?
do that.
I made it by Visa, yes.
You made it by Visa over the phone?
Yes.
And I kept saying, please do not do that. Because if I would have had anything to do with this, I would have at least made him make sure that he paid the right amount. Because he didn't pay the whole thing.
How much was the mortgage?
$3,000.
Your Honor, I would like to also say some other things that I have here.
Go ahead.
After my husband had left, we've never lived together, but Tim never went home. He asked me if he was getting low on his check, should he reorder some and put them in my address. I told him no, it was too soon. I did not think that this was a good idea. To go open my mailbox 2 weeks later to find a box of checks in his name only in my address. He has also bought siding to my shed that I told him to return.
So?
I also fixed a lot of stuff in the house. Shortly after her husband
You
left.
cared for her.
Oh, yes, I cared very much.
You cared for her. Did you follow through with your divorce?
It's in the works right now.
What happened to the two of you? Just curious.
Well, she couldn't handle my kids. My kids are very outspoken. They tell it as it is, and that's the way I raised them.
Just a second. Maybe they're just rude.
No, this is the way we were. We just, told it as this. And she just couldn't handle the way they were.
How old are your children?
I got 4, 22, 21, 19, and 16. And, I love them dearly. And she couldn't handle it, so she, went her way a little while. Before I knew that, she was starting to date another guy from the bar. Past I heard that she was back with her husband again, from what I heard, and here I am.
Is that true?
No, it's not.
You heard wrong.
Yep, okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was very manipulative in what she did a lot of things.
That's not what you told me.
But I don't loan that type of money without.
Yes, you do. You do if you're in love.
And later today,
Mr. Bridges, what date did they take the computer home?
Forgive me. Oh, great. I'm a little nervous. I apologize.
Don't be nervous. I only eat litigants on Tuesdays.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tim Gray says ex-girlfriend Lisa Ashpole owes for a loan to retain a divorce attorney and a separate loan to pay her mortgage. Lisa says Tim was attempting to buy her love.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
I am usually not predisposed to finding that monies paid under these circumstances are gifts. I'm usually predisposed to find that even under these circumstances, there is some obligation to repay money. Because if I find that one person is trying to get over on another, I think there's a certain inequity there. If you care for her more than she cares for you, and she's using that and is sort of bilking you for money, I think that that's an immoral thing, and that shouldn't happen. I don't get the sense of that here, sir. I really don't. What I do is sense, Mr. Gray, that you cared for her. You wanted her not to be stressed. You knew she was hardworking, and she was trying to make ends meet. She wasn't getting much money from her husband, the father of these children, and you wanted to help her because you cared for her. You had checks printed with her address. You planned on moving in to her home. You planned on being a family together. So I don't believe that under those circumstances you would have said to her, this is a loan.
But
I don't believe that that happened, sir. I believe that when she was sitting on the bed and being very unhappy because she had all of this mounting debt, you, in a very magnanimous way, like a hero, got up, went to the phone, called your Visa, and said, I want you to pay this bill.
that wasn't the way it happened. Your
I
Honor.
think it probably was, Mr. Gray.
She was very manipulative in what she did a lot of things on.
That may be true, sir. That's not what you told me
But I
before.
don't loan that type of money without.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You do if you're in love. You do if you're in love. You say, I want us to be together, and I want us to have a future together, and I don't want you to be stressed, and I want to show you that I can help take care of you, and that's what I'm going to do. And I believe that's what you did, Mr. Gray. And while my rulings usually do not go this way, I don't believe she was being manipulative. I believe that you were being in love and reacting appropriately, and unfortunately it didn't work out.
Maybe
You say
I
it was
was.
because of your kids. Maybe it was. But certainly, I don't believe she was being manipulative. I think that in the time that you were together, I think that she probably cared for you. Is that true?
Well, she cared, but she also agreed that she would pay me back.
I don't believe that, Mr. Gray. Your case is dismissed.
Audience are excused. You may step out.
They're just outspoken.
I don't have a problem with the outspokenness because I can be very outspoken as well.
She lied through her way and got her way out of it again.
The 16-year-old slapped my 6-year-old and left a big welt on his butt.
Maxwell is suing her ex-husband, satellite technician Scott Osment, for their child's medical bills. Scott says he gives half his salary and will pay no more.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 177 on the calendar in the matter of Maxwell versus Osment. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Maxwell, let me try to get the sequence of events.
Yes, ma'am.
When were you married to the defendant?
In December 21st, 1991.
And you have one child together?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that child born?
November 1st of 1994.
Girl.
Girl, yes, ma'am.
And when did you separate from the defendant?
In January of 95, Your Honor.
And when were you divorced?
We were divorced August 11th, 1997.
Now you are suing the defendant for unreimbursed medical costs that you incurred for your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
From what date to what date?
From April 14th, 1997 to present, Your Honor.
Now your divorce decree provided for him to pay for what with regard to medical bills?
Half of everything.
Now how much does he owe you, according to you, for the child's unreimbursed medical bills?
$1,982.05.
Can I see what you have there? Now, when did you first make a demand for that money?
I started making a demand for this money in November of 1997, Your Honor. I've made demands for it. He told me he would never pay a dime of medical costs. He told me he would never pay for anything for her at all.
True.
Why is that, sir?
For the past year, Your Honor, I've been paying over half my wages. I brought proof of that.
For what?
For child support, because they made it at $424 per month, which is over half my wages, rendering me with about $100 a week to live on. Neither one of our jobs were...
$424 per month for child support.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what the judgment of divorce provided for?
At first, yes. We went to court 1 week ago on July 1st, and they saw fit to modify the child support to $251 to a reasonable rate. I proved to the judge that I'm just not making it. I'm trying to go to college at night. At this point, I brought proof of my payroll. I don't know where I would get it at this point.
Let me see.
The net pay shows what...
Oh, no, I'll read it. I'm really good at that.
I know you are.
Your Honor, I'd like to say something if I may. Mr. Osmond has only paid $424 for the first 2 months from April to July of 1997. Then he got his child support reduced to $113 per month. And then in January, it went back up to $424, and then he just got it reduced again to $250.
Mr. Osmond,
yes, ma'am.
From January of 1995, which is when you separated from your former wife, until April of 1997, how much child support did you pay?
I gave her at least $50 to $100 a month. I didn't give her as much.
50, just a second. So between 1995 and 1997, according to you, you gave her between $50 and $75 a month. Is that right?
Can I say something?
Yes.
The reason for that, at that time, when we did separate, I was left with the apartment and everything else. Our visitation schedule set up, I would have to go down there. I lived in Palm Springs, she lived in Orange County, drive there, get them, bring them back because we couldn't stay there for the visitation, go all the way back. I had to work the Saturday. That pretty much ate that money up. I had no more money left.
Well, how'd you expect your daughter to be supported?
Work as hard as I could, do the best I could.
Well, that's not doing the best you can, sir. $50 a month, assuming that you paid it, which she seems to doubt.
No, he
she
didn't.
says you didn't pay it. But assuming that you paid somewhere around $50 a month, you can't keep a cat for $50 a month.
You're right, Your Honor.
This isn't a cat, this is your child.
I've been paying, I haven't missed a payment since we've been doing this.
Mr. Osmond, what you're telling me that since you were put under a court order, you managed to pay $424 a month, and then you managed to pay $113 a month, and then you paid $250 a month. So when a court told you to pay $424 a month, you paid it. When a court told you you had to pay $113 a month, you paid it. When a court told you you had to pay $250 a month, you paid it. But when no court told you that you had to pay more, according to you, you gave her $50 a month. Is that what you're telling me? That's what it sounds like.
No, I'm telling you that due to the situation at the beginning of that, I had no more money.
So what you're telling me, sir, is that as soon as the court told you you had to pay
They garnished
$424 a month, all of a sudden, miraculously, the good fairy came and dropped enough money for you to pay $424 a month.
They took it from me. They
took it out of your salary.
Right.
Right.
They garnished my wages.
Absolutely right.
That's why I lost my car, my apartment, everything I had.
Oh, just a second. What kind of car did you have?
I had a little Toyota.
Little Toyota.
That I paid $177 a month for. And
So what you're telling me is, sir, From 1995 to 1997, you paid more for your car than you did for your child. 3 times as much. 3 times as much.
That's not what I'm telling you.
Your Honor, I just, in the last court case, in our last hearing, he has acquired a brand new car, and he has acquired financing for that brand new car because it was on his last income and expense declaration for the new court case that he has a brand new car that he pays $334 a month for.
Pay $334 a month for a car, sir?
My mother helps me with that.
Oh.
So that I can get around.
Just a second, is your mother a good grandmother?
They won't allow her to see her.
Just a second, is your mother a good grandmother?
She is. They won't allow her to see her.
You mean there's a restraining order that prevents your mother from seeing the child?
I've never done
Jump!
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second. Is there a restraining order that prevents your mother from seeing the child?
No, Your Honor, there is not.
So that when you have your daughter for visitation, you want her to see your mother, you go over and you take her to visit your mother. What do you mean they prevent you? That's what you do. So your mother, if she's a good grandmother, she doesn't give you $350 a month to pay for a car. So what you're telling me now is you still pay more for your car than you pay for your daughter. And there was a time when you got along with an old Toyota for $177 a month, but now you need a $350 a month car when you've asked to have your child support reduced to half. You sound like you have your priorities all screwed up, Mr. Osmond.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
she sued me for costing me $8,000 last year, suing me for $1 million.
What kind of $1 million lawsuit? I'm just curious.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Candy Maxwell is suing her ex-husband, Scott Osmond, for their child's medical bills. Scott says he gives half his salary and will pay no more.
Judgment in this case is very easy. The Supreme Court of this state has directed that, sir, that you pay for 1/2 of all unreimbursed medical bills. That you will do. That one child is your priority, not your car, not your mother, not your fiancé, not anything else. Aside from best sustenance to keep you alive, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take care of the children that you make. In this case, you really haven't done that, sir, unless you've been under the gun of a court order. The total bills here, which have been added up, clearly indicate that you owe her 1/2 of those bills, which are $1,982.05. Mr. Osmond, pay it! That's all.
Thank you,
Parties
Your
are
Honor.
excused. You may step out.
I think Judge Judy did exactly what I hoped she had done, give me back the justice that is deserved for my daughter. He doesn't even know what the mean father is.
I'm just happy she's going on with her life. That's what I need for her to do. She's a good mother for my child, but she needs to go on with her life emotionally. I have.
And now the next case.
Parties on Baloo versus Baloo. Step forward, please.
39-year-old independent contractor Cynthia Ballou is suing her ex-husband, 43-year-old salesman Joseph Ballou, for not paying his share of their children's medical and dental bills. Joseph says he was never consulted.
You folks were once married and now divorced. You have
Yes.
2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
This case is about some unreimbursed medical and dental bills for the 2 children. How old are your children, sir?
Almost 16 and 14.
And how long have you been divorced?
Since 1995.
What are these medical and dental bills for?
For dental treatment for Tracy, for a gum condition which caused her teeth to become loose and
So
swelling.
mostly dental bills?
Yes.
And how much were the dental bills?
The total dental bills was $781.
And that was for mostly routine care, not orthodontic work or anything else?
It's not for braces, no. Her teeth are porous and her gums are in poor condition.
Okay. Mr. Ballou, does your divorce decree provide that you're supposed to pay for half of the unreimbursed dental and medical bills?
Providing that she discusses the matter with me, yes, beforehand.
So you're supposed to be consulted?
Exactly.
And that's really your defense?
That
well, you
is-
have 2 defenses. One, that you weren't consulted, and the second one is that your fiancé, is that your fiancé, has a brother who's a dentist, and you would have taken your children to her brother.
That would have been my suggestion, yes, rather than send her to Oceanside, 100 miles away.
Was that the dentist that the children always used?
Not to my knowledge. We did have a dentist in Woodland Hills.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this question, Mr. Ballou. You made these 2 children with your former wife. She a good mother?
It's debatable.
If I asked her that question, if you're a good father, would she say debatable?
She would say I'm terrible. She's been persecuting me.
All right. This lady doesn't look like the kind of lady that would allow anybody to invasively cut into one of the children if it wasn't necessary. This isn't a big bill, Mr. Ballou.
No, it's not. The whole problem here is that she is doing something that she's not allowed to do. The court has ordered her to discuss the matter with me. If she chooses to do it on her own, then she should take responsibility on her own.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that if a judgment of divorce provides that there's supposed to be consultation, which I'm sure yours does, is that right?
But he knew.
That's not, knowing is not consulting, Mrs. Ballou. That's what his complaint is. You know, all too often when parties get divorced and they put that little phrase in the divorce decree, which is, you know, the non-custodial parent is to be consulted with regard to any non-emergency medical or dental treatment. People think that that's sort of a, you know, stock thing you don't have to pay much attention to. And Mrs. Ballou, the truth of the matter is that sometimes it's a very troublesome little clause, because if the non-custodial parent feels like your husband former husband feels, that, well, I'm the father and I should really be consulted, because that's what it says there. I'm not just somebody who's supposed to write out a check.
Right.
I'm supposed to be a parent, and if we were together, the two of you would sit down over the kitchen table and say, this is a good dentist, and he would talk to you about it, and you would talk to him about it, and he would say, well, I guess we'll have to go and take care of it.
Can I expound on it a little bit?
Sure.
During the time of her visits, Mr. Ballou quit his employment, and I was facing relocation in August 1st. That's why we went to Oceanside, because I had inspected units to relocate and filed for a transfer to move down there because of...
Mr. Ballou, stop shuffling around with the papers. Listen to your former wife. Maybe you'll get something from it.
I was in the process of relocating because I ran out of money and he wasn't paying. That's why we went to Oceanside, because my mom was down there and she was going to help us out. Tracy's treatment wasn't one time. She went 5 different times because they had to break it apart. And he knew what she was going for, and he supported the action then.
How do you know he supported the action then?
Because he would say, that's good, that's fine, go down there and take care of it.
To whom did I... Sorry.
The weekend and the trips down there were arranged around his visitation, so it wouldn't interrupt the opportunity for him to see.
Okay.
I mean...
I'm not doubting, and he wouldn't tell me, if he was being honest, that he didn't know she was undergoing these treatments. You knew she was undergoing the treatments.
I knew she was going down there. I found out from my daughter.
You're the fiancé?
Yeah.
I would suggest, if you want to be a good fiancé and be on reasonable terms with her, you not say anything.
But
long term, not just for a court date.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's an emotional thing. You want to stick it to her, right?
Yes. That money could have gone towards my kids rather than me have to sell my truck to pay for an attorney.
Whatever.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Cynthia Ballou wants her ex-husband, Joseph Ballou, to pay his share of their kids' medical and dental bills.
3 of you, I assume, are going to have to get along for a while. So they have a history together. You don't have a history. So.
But I know what's going on in the background that's not true.
I'm not interested in the background, madam. I'm interested in what I see. What I see is a dental bill for $781. She wants half. His defense is that this procedure was taken and done on one of his children without his being consulted first. That's his complaint. And that is against what the judgment of divorce provided for. Plaintiff says, if I'm gathering this correctly, that while he may not have been consulted, he certainly knew about the procedure, and you agree that you knew about the procedure because you were visiting with the children.
I knew that she was having work done.
Okay. So it's a rather novel issue, and something that you really have to work out long term, because the kids have still a long way to go before they reach their majority. You have to consult him. Not just do it and tell him, because that's what the judgment of divorce provides for. And even if it didn't, it would be the right thing to do, to consult him. On the other hand, Mr. Ballou, she didn't do it this time. I'm directing her that she, in the future, whenever the children need non-emergency care, and I assume you're not talking about if the kids get a sore throat or get a strep or something and she has to take the kids for a relatively routine procedure that she has to call and consult with you first. You wouldn't expect her to do that, would you?
Well, she has union benefits that cover this. No, I would
Even
not
if she
expect
didn't,
it.
right? Because that's sort of silly. But this was an ongoing procedure that, you know, was costly. You wouldn't want your child to go without a procedure that was necessary. So in the future, Mrs. Ballou, in the future, you have to consult him.
Okay.
Because he is their father. You visit with the children
Yes, I do.
regularly?
Every other weekend I have them.
Great. When do you pick them up?
Usually, depending on whether or not I work on Saturday, either pick them up after work Friday or after work Saturday.
And you have a nice relationship with them?
Yes, I do.
That's good. You want to say anything else to me?
Well, I don't believe that she should be reimbursed this amount of money. Her reasons for her idea of discussing this is, be advised, Tracy has a dentist appointment on June 28th or June 29th. She sued me for costing me $8,000 last year, suing me for $1 million, which that money could have gone towards my kids rather than me have to sell my truck to pay for an attorney.
Is that an old lawsuit that's over?
This is, yeah, she dropped it right before she filed this
What
lawsuit.
kind of $1 million lawsuit? I'm just curious.
He went to my bank in December and obtained my bank records without a subpoena or consent. Then filed for a modification of child support, stating he didn't have enough money to pay child support, and quit his job shortly thereafter.
Okay, so what you were being sued for was getting her bank records without a consent. Is that what you were suing him for, but then you
Yes.
dropped that lawsuit?
Yes, we narrowed down the responsible parties.
Whatever.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Mr. Ballou, listen to me. You have 2 kids. You are always going to have these 2 children as your responsibility. Trust me, even when they're past 18 or 21 years old, they're still going to be expensive. Right now, your bill for this, Mr. Ballou, your half is $390. Not such a big deal. I am, however, advising you, Mrs. Ballou, that writing him a note saying to him, you are advised that Tracy is going for this treatment, is not the same as consultation. Consultation is talking to him before the fact. It's an emotional thing, right?
Yes.
You should not unreasonably withhold your consent, because you have to think about what's in the best interest of the children, not that you want to stick it to her. And you shouldn't feel as if you want to stick it to him for any reason either by giving him one of these, I'm advising you that. It's just not the right thing to do. Try to be nice to each other. You don't live with each other. It's easier. So I'm awarding you your $390, but with this proviso, madam. In the future, consult means consult, not dictate. You got it?
Okay.
Perfect. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, Christopher Younts and his grandmother, Valerie James, are suing Chris's mother, Ronnie K. Winkle, for his child support.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 663 on the calendar in the matter of James Younts versus Winkle. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, have seats, please.
What's your first name?
Christopher.
Christopher, this is your mom.
Yes.
And you're Mrs. Younts.
I am Mrs. James.
Mrs. James. This is your daughter.
Right.
2 of you are suing the defendant for back child support, your support.
Yes.
You say that you were really forced to leave your mother's home as a result of abuse.
Yes.
You went to your grandmother's home when
Yes.
you were still under the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you went to your grandmother's house?
16.
16. And you've now turned 18.
Yes.
How long did you live with your grandmother?
9 months.
So it's 9 months support that you are requesting, is that
Yes.
right? You also have a claim here for some mental anguish that leads you to a figure of $5,000.
Yes.
But let's talk about the support first.
Okay.
Why did you leave your mother's home?
Because of the abuse that I was receiving.
From whom?
My mother's fiance, Larry Updegraff.
Is that him?
Yes.
Is that you?
Yes.
Larry. What kind of abuse?
Physical, mental, verbal. I get kicked, punched, hit, pinched, poked, just about anything you can think of. And
Is that why you left?
yes.
Miss Winkle, did you know about what was going on in your house?
Yes, I did, Judge.
What did you know?
I knew that Christopher had a problem with authority. We have very strict rules in our household, and he did not want to follow them.
Did you witness any corporal punishment of your son by your fiancé?
The only thing I've ever witnessed is he was grabbed by the shoulder and scolded very toughly in his face, period.
Did your son ever complain to you that he was hit by your fiancé?
He complained about it, yes.
How many times did he complain about it?
Maybe 2 that I can recall.
What did he tell you?
That he was hitting him.
And you discussed that with Larry?
Yes, I did.
Larry admit that he had hit him?
He did not say that he actually hit him. He grabbed him.
Was anything resolved with regard to your fiancé putting his hands on your son?
Yes, I asked him not to touch him.
And what did he say?
He said, that's fine.
Which must, Miss Winkle, lead you to believe that he had, in fact, put his hands on your son.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Did your son tell you that he was going to his grandmother's house?
That was a family discussion, and that was a decision that was made by all, not specifically Christopher.
Okay. Now, he came to your house, and he was there for 9 months.
Right.
Why did he leave?
Because I feel he did not want to follow the rules.
Honest. Good. Thank you. Okay. Now, were you getting child support for him from any source in the 9 months that he was living with your mother?
I have a record of the child support from the child support division that I'd like you to take a look at.
No.
That has the records. Yes,
So-
I was supposed to.
Not supposed to. Did you actually receive?
No.
Can I see the printout? Is that, I assume that's a printout from
Yes,
the
ma'am.
state.
It certainly is.
Let me see it.
I also have a copy.
Well, let me see yours. I'll be more than happy to look at both. So how much did you actually receive from his father?
$240 total.
Now, I want you to look at these records. You have indicated here that there are some things that are yellow lined. How much does it indicate here that your mother received for your support from your father?
Over $1,000.
You receive a certain amount of money. You're supposed to receive, what, $100?
I was supposed to receive $120.
Just for his support?
Just for his support per month.
This printout seems to indicate that for one block period, you received $676.09 paid.
Paid to me?
Yes.
I'd have to look at that, Judge.
Well, take a look at it. And then there is another figure here of $100.
After I turned 18.
See, he was not living at his grandmother's at that time.
It doesn't make any difference. This was
Okay.
his support.
Right.
Did you give that to him?
No.
Well, you should have. It's his support. It's not it's not your money.
Right.
This isn't alimony.
Oh, I understand that.
Child support. So.
Right. I understand that.
But
I also tried to help him in November of last year establish the fact that he was deserving of his child support because he'd already turned 18.
Well, if you helped him and you got the money, then you should have given it to him.
I don't know why they sent it to me.
But you spent it.
Yes, I did.
Well, then you have to give that to him. So there we know
Okay,
about it.
no problem.
And what about, we'll show her this $697 that is amount received and amount paid out.
is. I never received that. There's also ADC owing to the state of Oregon. Because I was on welfare at certain amounts of time.
Oh, well, that makes it a little more
She's
complicated.
still on welfare status as the papers state.
So that the state is taking that money? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
You did not receive that $600.
No, I did not.
How much money did you receive then, in addition to this $100 of the $96 payments? You received $250?
$240.
$240, plus the 100. Okay. That brings us up to $340. Now, why do you think that I should make this $340 into $5,000?
Because of the years of abuse that I sustained by Larry Updegraff. He has a very violent nature. He has been to court many times. In fact, I have court records in my folder of an abuse against my mother, which was filed.
The reason these situations occurred are directly to Christopher Younce's behavior. Of course, parents get in arguments over children. And this little boy had a problem with authority, and he still does.
Christopher!
Yes.
There isn't a question in my mind that there was a behavior problem, and the behavior problem lasted until the time you went to your grandmother's house. I mean, she was honest with me today. She said you couldn't follow the rules and you left. So you do have a problem. Now, what started that problem, I don't know. And it could very well be that the situation in your home precipitated his acting out behavior. That's a possibility. Yes. You know, children are born as blank slates.
Yes, they are.
So, you know, some people say that you're pre-programmed for certain kinds of behavior, but what goes on in your house certainly has an impact on that. You know, it's half nature, half nurture. It's very foolish to allow somebody who is not related to discipline your child. It's outrageous to allow someone who is not related to that child to exercise any form of corporal punishment on that child, and that was a very bad thing, and you permitted it in your house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So let me tell you this, Miss Winkle. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to be supportive.
He refused to speak to me since Christmas.
Okay. He's angry.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christopher Younce is suing his mother for his child support. He also claims he was abused by his mother's boyfriend, Larry Updegraff.
You want to step up here? Tell me who you are.
My name is Kelly Cornick, and I'm a teen advocate in Lincoln City.
Miss Cornick, he now, I understand, lives in a program. Is he living in your program?
Yes, he is.
Is he behaving himself any better?
At first, because of the abuse that he received, and I know that I'm an abused child myself, he was confused, he was disillusioned, he was discouraged. He had dropped out of school, and it appeared to me that it had to do with his mother and Larry Updegraff using drugs and being abusive with not only Christopher, but also Christopher's brother, which he was terrified to say anything Chris at the time before he left home, which is why he felt pressured to leave home, because he knew that if he left the home, his brother would receive the abuse he was receiving. He was also afraid for Valerie, okay? And
Valerie is his sister?
Valerie's his sister. She's right there.
Is he doing better now?
He is doing very well. Christopher is now back in school on a stable level. Okay, he's going to school every day.
How long has he lived in your facility?
He's been in my facility for 9 months.
And been behaving himself at least
He
for
tried
the last
to misbehave, but I'm from Brooklyn, New York, Your Honor, and there is no way that he can get over on me. Okay? Okay?
I know about that.
Okay, the other part of it is, I know you do, Christopher is doing splendidly now, and as you can see, you know, and he's much happier.
Are you working as well?
Yes, I am.
Where are you working?
I work at Burger King.
Good, well that's a start.
Yes.
How many hours a week?
I get on the average of 25 to 35.
And he does support. He does put his part in for the household.
He's 18 years old, and that's okay. So let me tell you this, Miss Winkle. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to be supportive.
He refused to speak to me since Christmas.
Okay. He's angry.
I understand.
Step up here, sir. How long have you two been together?
9 years.
9 years. Is there any reason why 9 years and you still have a fiancé status?
None.
What do you do for a living?
I currently work at Chinook Winds Casino.
How many hours do you work?
About 35.
On the books or off?
On.
On. How long have you been working there?
Approximately 3 months.
Before that, where did you work?
I wasn't employed.
How are you supporting yourself?
Well, actually, I was self-employed. I have a computer at the house, and I do graphics and rendering. I have a degree in architecture and design.
For how many years weren't you employed with a steady income?
Approximately 2.5.
And what kind of work do you do?
I am a seasonal horseback beach guide.
Well, how does your family support itself?
Child support.
Shh. Shh. How does your family support itself? You have 2 other children at home?
Very difficultly in the winter months. It's seasonal. I've been
Well,
looking
why don't
for
you all work full time?
Because I've been looking for work.
Okay. Tell me your name.
Valerie.
Valerie, come on up here. Right here. Hi.
Hi.
You know who I am? How old are you, Valerie?
9.
9? Would you like to talk to me privately?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't you come back here? Bring her back.
Watch your step. Come down here. There you go.
You hurt your mother.
I'm ashamed. Family don't do this to family. You need to shut your mouth. Stop
Hey,
it.
shut up.
Now.
You don't belong here.
Stop it.
All of you, stop
You need to butt out.
Stop it.
Yeah, shows how childish you are.
Have seats. Have seats.
Go ahead.
See what she did to me?
What? Don't worry about it. Don't get upset.
I'm not, because I'll never speak to my mother or my son again.
He's a liar.
Never. And he's lying.
Yeah,
Lying through his teeth. Poor abused little boy. She's taking all the credit for it. I don't care. She's taking all the credit for what good he is. I hope he's proud of himself. I hope he's proud of what he's done. I hope you're all proud of what you've done. You're disgusting.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I want you to try to now erase the slate for a minute. You're the mother. It's never supposed to be too hard for you.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Christopher Younts and his grandmother, Valerie James, are suing Chris's mother, Ronnie K. Winkle, for his child support.
Okay, you go sit with Larry.
Order.
Come on, baby doll.
Okay. So let's see what the things that Valerie over here is very bright and lovely. I'm sure wouldn't mind my sharing with you, other than the first of all, she loves Godiva chocolate. She had 2 pieces. Second, she says that she's very happy in your home. She's very happy with you, sir, and she's very happy with her mother. But you don't work out of the house during the day or the night because you're home. That's why she's so happy. She's happy that you're home. So it's not a good thing to lie to a judge. Very stupid thing, sir. Second thing is, her 12-year-old brother is currently living with his father. Bottom line is, in this case, you received $340 that belongs to your son. Now, Christopher.
Yes.
Sometimes parents don't do the right thing. You don't get compensated for that. Otherwise, the courts would be flooded with those kind of lawsuits. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You also had a problem, whatever it was, whatever your authority problem was, you continued to have that when you moved in with your grandmother. I'm glad you're doing better now.
Thank you.
So I am awarding you the $340 that your mother has, took, spent, that belongs to you. It really is gratifying to me to see a young man like you who at 18 seems to be getting back on track.
Thank you.
Now, that being said, and giving you the money that I'm going to give you, it's a good idea for children not to divorce their parents permanently.
I do not want to divorce my mother.
Perfect.
I love her.
Perfect. So I gather it's been a long time since you've communicated, is that right?
Very long time.
I want you to try to now erase the slate for a minute.
Hard.
You're the mother. It's never supposed to be too hard for you. You understand?
I do.
So you've all traveled to this court a very long distance. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is that just the two of you today go out for lunch. And I would really like for you to be able to spend an hour with your mom without any recriminations, without any, just let her know what's going on with your life currently, how you are in school, how it is living, what's happening with your life.
Okay.
Okay? Just to start a dialogue. Is that reasonable?
Yes.
Okay? All right? Why don't you go out first, just the two of you?
Okay.
And I will prepare an order for $340. Just the two of you outside. And then I'll dismiss the rest of the case later.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
I'm going to let them have a private hour.
Oh, certainly.
Okay?
Sure, that's
Is that
fine.
reasonable?
Is that, sure, very nice.
Okay, I would like that to happen. This young lady, Valerie, is a lovely girl, very smart, very articulate, very bright. As I said, that's usually a combination of nature and nurture. So evidently, what was not accomplished with the two boys in your house, for whatever reason, was clearly accomplished with this young lady who prefers to stay with you and her mother rather than going with her biological father where her brother is. There is something to be said for that, right? Sure. So sometimes you have to get the whole puzzle put into place. It's not always at one end of the spectrum or another. Sometimes there's a middle ground, right? That's true. Okay. So why don't you folks meet your daughter and your grandson back here in 1 hour so that you can make your plane. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I love both of them with all my heart, and that's why I'm here.
Actually, it's probably much better that they're able to talk and get along and go to lunch.
I think it was good, and I don't want our family to break apart again.
Bus driver Myra Graham claims ex-husband, 29-year-old Carl Vitale, slashed her tires. He says he still loves her, and he didn't do it.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. Your Honor, this is case number 670 on the calendar in the matter of Graham versus Vitale. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Were you married to the defendant?
I was.
For how long?
3 years.
Are you currently divorced?
Yes.
When were you divorced?
1997 of December.
Your lawsuit isn't for a lot of money, but you claim that your former husband slashed your tires.
Yes.
He says he wouldn't dream of doing such a thing. When did this happen?
February 4th.
Tell me about it.
He was mad about a ruling in a prior case.
What kind of ruling?
Paternity.
Of a child that was born during your marriage?
Sometime after the divorce.
There has to be a motive, because I read your papers. You didn't actually see him slash your tire, is that right?
No, I saw him.
You saw him bend down.
I saw him with a box cutter cutting my tires.
Now, that's not what you say, Miss Graham. You say that you saw him bending down and then you saw your tire slashed.
Yes.
So I want to go back to see if there was a motive for him to slash the tire. Do you understand?
Yes.
So there was a paternity case.
Yes.
Was he adjudicated the father of the child?
No, the judge asked him, did he have money to pay for paternity or a blood test, and he said no, he didn't have any money to pay for it.
So there was never a blood test on this child?
No.
Okay, but did he take you to court or did you take him to court?
He took me to court.
So he wanted to be adjudicated the father of this child?
Yes.
Okay, and you said he was not the father of this child?
Yes.
Now I understand. And the judge did not order blood tests because he did not have any money?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how much after this ruling did this incident occur with your tire?
A month and a half.
Now tell me about it.
Okay, when I came from, I drive a school bus, and when I got done, I walked up the parking lot and I saw him bending down. He had a box cutter and he was cutting the tires. He saw me and he took off.
Could you see him? Were you on the side of the car where the tire was slashed? Or was the car blocking your view?
Where my car was parked, there was no other cars there, so I could see him as I was walking up.
Did you actually see a box cutter in his hand?
Yes.
Did you report this to the police?
Yes, I did.
Do you have the police report?
Yes.
Can I see it, please? Ms. Graham, you have an order of protection against him?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
When was that issued?
In December.
Of '98?
Yes.
And what was the basis for that order of protection?
He was stalking me.
May I say something?
Yes.
This whole business about stalking is totally irrelevant. It wasn't stalking. She had been coming over, and the reason why we have a son together is because she kept coming by. I was invited. I would go and see her. She would come see me. It was ongoing. It's been ongoing. Recently, for the past about year and a half, nothing's gone on. I have not been around her place of work. I do have an affidavit that's signed by me and my hairdresser when I was there all day with him. You know, he had many people ahead of me appointments. I just walked in, so I was actually the one to wait. I have this affidavit right here. He signed it. I signed it. Is that admissible?
No.
Okay. One thing I'd like to point out here is she says I did this 2 different times. Okay. She says the same offense that she's blaming me for. She said I did it on the 5th. I don't know where she got the 4th, because on here it says the 5th that I did it. And then on this one, just recently, the 22nd she filed it of March, says that I did it the 28th of January. So now I'm kind of questioning, which day was it?
Well, I'm going to ask the same question of you, Ms. Graham, because on this police report you gave me, it said date occurred 1/29/99.
It occurred February 4th.
It's not what I have here.
Ms. Graham, are you sure it occurred February 4th?
I'm sure. I had got the dates mixed up because I had an accident, and I just kind of wrote it on my calendar wrong, but it was February 4th.
Well, you told the police in the police report that it occurred January 29th. When did you report it to the police?
As soon as it happened.
You mean that day?
Yes.
Listen to me. January comes before February. Do you understand? You just told me, madam, that the same day that this happened, you reported it to the police. Right? So you reported it on January 29th, and it happened January 29th. Then you told me it happened February 4th, right?
Yes.
So you mean you reported it to the police before it happened?
No.
Do you understand your problem?
Yes.
You just told me that you're absolutely positive that it happened February 4th. The police took the report, said date occurrence January 29th. They would have said to you, madam, how could it have occurred on February 4th? We didn't come to February 4th yet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She kicked a hole through my door, and then she's saying that I'm stalking her. Give me a break, please.
And later today.
When you travel like we did, Stop! This is really important for me to say here.
Was what you're going to tell me that the CDs were all scratched before you took them?
That's correct. When you travel like we
Shut
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Myra Graham is suing ex-husband Carl Vitale for her slashed tires.
All right.
Judge?
What?
I would like to be able to, state that this is a case of false decimation. She also destroyed property that belonged to me. She came over to my apartment. She kicked a hole through my door. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then she's saying that I'm stalking her. Give me a break, please, okay? Because I would not do that. I have better things to do with my time. I love her. We have a son together. I wouldn't do nothing to her car because I want my son to have proper transportation. I would not do this to her.
Mr. Vitale, let me suggest this to you, sir. Ms. Graham says that you are not the father of this child. You seem to be convinced that you are the father of this child. I can understand why you would be angry with her if she, in fact, denied that you were the father of a child that was conceived during the time you were married. Now, that doesn't mean she can prove to me that you slashed her tire because she's given, to me, conflicting testimony. She swore she's absolutely positive that this incident occurred on February 4th. Yet she went to the police on January 29th and told them about it.
Yeah.
So that's impossible. Case dismissed.
Please, I'll excuse you. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He keeps harassing and stalking me and saying we're still married by God's law, and he doesn't want to let it go.
She knows it's our son. She isn't with nobody before or after but me. Whether we're going to be together, her and I, in the end, only God knows that. And he's in control.
And now the next case.
All parties on Falon versus Sherman. Step forward, please.
21-year-old sales clerk Cassandra Falon claims former boyfriend, 24-year-old store supervisor Dean Sherman, borrowed and ruined her CDs. Dean is countersuing for the cost of their weekend getaways.
What kind of business were the two of you involved in?
Traveling sales.
And you traveled together?
With a company, yes.
And you were also involved in a relationship with the defendant, is
Yes,
that right? According to you, you made a series of loans to him on your credit card. Is that
Yes.
right? And in addition, he borrowed some CDs from you and
He didn't borrow them, he took them. but
took
yes.
them and returned them scratched.
Yes.
All right, let's take the CDs first.
Okay.
You took these CDs on the road with you to play?
Yes, they were with me on the road, and we had gone for a vacation to stay with his parents for a week. And so the first night we were there, we went and played bingo with his mother, had a good time, and she said she goes on Wednesdays also. So we had made plans to go with her on that Wednesday. Well, I'm getting ready to go with her. He tells me, well, he was going out with his friends. So I go play bingo with her. I come back, he's gone, my CDs are gone. The next morning when I got out of the shower, he was gone. He went to his friend's house to pick up my CDs. When
you got him back,
I got him back, yes. I listened to him. Every single one of them is scratched, skips, don't play.
Okay. So what did you do after that?
Well, I told him, I said, every single one of these is scratched. I pulled them all out and looked at him, and he said, I said, what happened? At first, he wouldn't tell me. He said, I'll replace them. When finally, every time I asked him, he wouldn't tell me. And finally, he said, well, we were drinking in a field, and they all ended up all over the ground.
Does that sound right?
No, that doesn't sound correct. When you travel like much as this is really important, Judge Judy. This is really important for me.
Just a second.
Okay.
Did you take her CDs when you were going out that evening?
I sure did.
And you went out with your friends?
That's correct.
You were partying, having some drinks?
That's correct, too.
Did you say to her, the CDs ended up on the ground?
I did not say they ended up on the ground.
Did they end up on the ground?
They did not end up on the ground.
That's a lie.
Shh. Where did they end up?
They ended up in a car. They were just in a car with the rest of us. And when you travel like we did, like this is really important for me to say here.
You took the CDs and you would listen to these CDs before, is that right? And there was nothing wrong with the CDs, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, is what you're going to tell me that the CDs were all scratched before you took them?
That's correct. When you travel like we did. This is really important for me, Judge Judy. I want to really explain. She lent a lot of her CDs out to a lot of different people all the time.
I want you to be quiet.
Okay.
I don't care whether she lent it out to half the civilized world.
Okay.
The point is, you wouldn't have borrowed these CDs, Mr. Sherman, if they were all scratched and skipped. So the day you borrowed them, they were okay. The day you returned them, they were not okay.
No, that's not true.
Did you have a conversation with her after she listened to the CDs and said to you, they're all scratched and skipped? Do you remember that conversation?
Well, that's kind of ludicrous because basically she didn't have a CD player with her at the time, so I don't see how she could have. And her CD player was also broken at the time.
Go ahead.
Actually, at the time we were using his CD player, and I did have a CD player at the time.
I didn't have a CD player at the time. Yeah.
Mr. Sherman, so if you didn't have a CD player and she didn't have a CD player, is that what you're telling me?
That's correct.
How'd you play the CDs?
We had it back on the road because we didn't have it.
How did you play the CDs?
I didn't take my CD player out with me. I did not take it
How?
with me.
So let me ask you a question. Did you borrow the CDs that night to look at them?
No. I borrowed
So you played them?
Of course, in a car.
On what?
In a CD player in a car.
Whose car?
My friend Laura.
Okay. Now, how much are the CDs?
Well, there's 31 of them.
Well, just give me a figure.
$408.
Let me have them, please.
It actually costs more. If you look on this side here, there's one on the end, and then there's one that I slipped in the center that is a good CD, so you can compare what a damaged and a good CD look like.
Your Honor, 75% of those CDs were previously scratched.
Then you shouldn't have taken them, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If I had to spend 8 months on the road with you, I think I would deserve every single penny for every moment that I spent over a dinner table with you.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Cassandra Fallon is suing former boyfriend Dean Sherman for ruining her CDs.
All right. Court believes that you said you were going to replace them, Mr. Sherman. Now let's get on with the next thing. Tell me about these credit cards.
Credit cards, we had gone because he needed a pair of pants. So we went to go buy one, and, you know, they said if you fill out an application, then you'll get 10% off. So I said, okay. I did it. I was approved. And so he went nuts just picking out things. I said, well, we're only going to get the pants that you came for. And he said, well, you know, I have a good job now. I'm going to pay for these. Let's get all this stuff. So I went ahead and in the end and agreed to it. And then about a month later, he wanted to apply for one. He was denied, but then they said that if I co-signed, then he would get approved. So I have the bills from that card and receipts that he signed with his name, and I have it all right here for what was his and what was mine.
All right. Now, Mr. Sherman, you seem to acknowledge, sir, that you used a credit card.
That's correct.
You paid off what was yours on the credit card, and at most you owe her $126.72.
To my figures.
I have a letter right here from him where he itemizes everything he owes
Let me see it.
And it has a
I have one
payment
here, too, for
plan
you.
to what, when he's going to pay it, and he has paid me $150 towards this, what is not in this lawsuit. That is separate. The $255 is the remaining balance.
$254.21.
Correct.
That sound right to you, sir? It's not so different from the $126.72 that you indicate you will still owe her.
Well, I have signatures on my cards right here that I signed too. So I paid off $150 of that. That leaves a balance of $126.72. Now, also, if you look at this piece of paper right here, it also says Cassandra J. Fallon and Dean Fallon. Obviously, my name's not Fallon, and I did sign a Dean Sherman.
I have right here a letter. I tried to get the application, and I have more paperwork from when I went back. I called them. They fixed the mistake. They put his last name in there. I mean, I paid for my stuff. I paid for the clothes he's wearing today. I feel that I should be reimbursed for this. I have this letter where...
You two deserve each other, let me tell you.
All the time when we used to travel, this lady did absolutely nothing. Nothing. She's really, basically, she's lazy. She's really went out and spent loads of money on credit cards, and I supported her. I supported her for 6 months out on.
Aren't you a nice fellow?
What?
Aren't you a nice fellow?
Yeah, I know. I'm a really nice guy.
All right.
Like even say.
Mr. Sherman, why did you stop paying her? You were paying her for a period
Because I was
of
getting
time.
harassment, one by her father. I mean, to give you a rough description, I was dropped down in the middle of Houston with $25 in my pocket and told bluntly, find your own way home.
Is that why you stopped paying her, because you got angry with her?
No, basically the concept was, it's just, I consulted several people, even a lawyer, and They told me what you signed for is what you deserve and what she deserves. And after the fact, I started getting harassing phone calls. It was just totally ludicrous.
But you acknowledge, sir, that you owed her, according to you, $126. So my question is...
I owe her $126.
Why did you stop paying her? Harassment would have stopped if you paid her. So why'd you stop for?
Well, blatantly, like I said, it was all going to be worked out, but it was going to be worked out in a different agreement, and this is like basically the way it was going to be worked out right here. And I was going to sign it and date it and everything else along those lines and make a contract with her to pay this amount, X amount of $126 that I still owe her left. But blatantly, you know, harassing phone calls, you know, it's just so harassment.
You're giving me a headache.
I got one.
All right, let me resolve this counterclaim of yours, which I can resolve in 30 seconds, 20 seconds. You filed a ridiculous counterclaim for $2,000 because you say while you were on the road working, I paid well over the above amount in supporting Jennifer's wishes. This includes 4-star meals, hotels, shopping trips, weekend excursions. I feel she should pay her share. After all, we were only boyfriend and girlfriend. Is that the nature of your complaint?
Yeah, it is. When you're on the road, I've been asked numerous times to chip in, and blatantly she even quoted, "Why should I pay anything? You make enough money for both of us."
Well, so then there wasn't a loan.
That's really not a lie. That's actually the blatant truth. I mean, it's.
Shh. Mr. Sherman, I want you to say one whole sentence without the word blatant.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
Listen to me, sir. This is a court.
Okay.
This is not a feelings place. Not what you feel she should be responsible for, what you would like her to be responsible for. When there is an agreement, either written or verbal, to repay, that is a contract. You didn't say to her, I'm taking you out for dinner, here's the bill, you owe me half, right?
No, I didn't say that.
Of course not.
All right. The thing is, I mean, I paid so much for this. I gave this girl everything in the world. I gave her, I mean, you can even question my witness here. I gave this girl everything. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean,
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
There's a piece of me that feels as if you're probably a very nice person.
Well, thank you.
But if I had to spend 8 months on the road with you, I think I would deserve every single penny for every moment that I spent over a dinner table with you. You got to learn not to be so hyper, sir. You know, just sort of relax. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I thought it was pretty fair. I didn't get all of what I was asking for, but at least I got some compensation for what I did pay for.
I believe the judgment was wrong, totally wrong. The lady's a lazy bum. I did nothing but support her for 6 months out on the road. It was just ludicrous to her decision.
Don't trust guys, especially him. If you're going to charge something on your credit card, make sure you're going to get paid back for it.
Claims former live-in lover, 27-year-old Michelle Shannon, owes him for rent after they split.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 698 on the calendar in the matter of Nicholson versus Shannon. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You're in love, you move in together, you rent an apartment together, right?
Correct.
When did you meet?
About 6 months prior.
So you knew each other 6 months when you decided to sign a lease together?
Correct.
And how long did it last?
Approximately 14 months that we lived together.
And your lease was 2 years?
Correct.
And you left?
Right.
And you want her to pay her half of the rent for the remainder of the lease?
Correct.
She says she was more than fair. You moved out in December, is that right?
Yes.
December what?
It was early December. I don't know the exact date.
Had you paid the rent for December?
Yes, I had.
Is that right?
Correct.
And you had a security deposit on the apartment?
Yes.
How much was the security deposit that you put in?
I don't know the exact amount. I believe it was half.
What was the security deposit?
$600 is what her half was.
And did she leave you with that?
Yes, she did.
So she paid December's rent. She left you with the security deposit, right?
Correct.
And how much was the entire rent?
The entire rent per month was $1,075.
Okay.
Which we split each month.
Good. So she left you a month to find a new roommate and a month for good measure, because you get her $600 back at the end of the lease, right?
Well, sort of, kind of.
Do me a favor.
Yes.
Just answer my question.
Okay.
Sort of, maybe, could have. $600 security deposit.
Yes.
When you move out, you get back your security deposit as long as you pay the rent and leave the place in good order, right? So now she's really paid you 2 months. You tell me, since it's clear that this relationship was over, what you think should have happened.
Well, she signed a 2-year agreement, okay, and it says in the agreement that no oral, verbal notice of any kind it's invalid. It has to be in writing in 30 days in writing, okay, and all parties have to agree to it in writing. And there was no writing of any kind. It was just simply, I'm moving out, and she moved out. We also talked about getting back together and her moving back in. She said, if I don't even like where I'm living, I might move back in a month. Okay, and I was wanting her to stay because I wanted the relationship to work out.
According to these papers, it got pretty ugly there in the end of November, the beginning of December.
Oh, I had found out that she was seeing someone behind my back at her
So
work.
it got pretty ugly. Whatever the reason, it got pretty ugly.
Correct.
Why should two people who are not married, who have no children together, who have no other ties together, stay in an apartment where they're both going to be miserable?
We shouldn't, but
Good.
she's legally bound to the end of the lease, I feel. Because
Oh.
if I lose
Are
my
you
job
still-
next month and I can't pay the rest of the rent, the owners of the place can take me to court for the remainder of the lease, correct?
Well, you have, sir, in December, by the way, you still living in the apartment?
Yes, I am, and I've looked for roommates. I've had ads in the newspaper ever since day one. I have not found anybody.
They have not been in the newspaper, they've been in the recycler, and there's not even a sign out front, which doesn't cost any money.
Mr. Nicholson.
It's a back house. You can't even see the house from the
Mr.
street.
Nicholson, show me the ads that you put in from day one looking for a roommate.
These here are highlighted ads in the recycler. The reason why I did not put them in the newspaper, because just for 1 day it was $45, for 2 days it was $65, and for 3 days it was $72, and at which time I also had told her at one point that I only had $40 to get me through 2 weeks. Couldn't even afford it.
You indicate here that you offered to help him put ads in the paper, is that right?
I did.
When did you tell him that?
It was not that long ago when he said that he wanted to sue me, and I didn't understand why, because I thought that I had done my part. I went over, met with him, trying to find out why he was going to sue me, and I said at that time, I would pay for ads in the local newspaper, and if I needed to, I was just trying to figure out what my part was.
So what did he say to you when you offered?
He said no.
Do you remember having a conversation with her about her assisting in putting ads in the paper?
Yes, I do, and that was only after I had mentioned that, hey, taking you to small claims court, and she said, fine, go ahead, see if I care. Okay, and then this was only a matter of 2 weeks ago that she had come over and then was being very nice because she was worried about being sued and trying to manipulate me into not suing her by offering to pay for these ads, which for several weeks prior to that, she didn't want nothing to do with me, not to offer to pay for any ads or anything like that.
Let me see the lease on the apartment. How large an apartment is this?
Actually, it's not an apartment, it's a house.
How large a house is it?
2-bedroom house with a 2-car garage.
Uh-huh.
It's a back house.
Have you been to the house since?
Just the last time I was there was to visit and speak with him about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Anybody else there?
No.
Why are you only asking for $350 a month rent?
Because that's all I feel I can really rent the place for. It's just a room, and I'm not going to allow anybody to use any space in the garage because the garage is full of my tools and equipment, and I don't want no one in there possibly stealing anything of any kind. So I'm just renting a room. I had a roommate in there before, and I only was letting her pay $300. I make good money, and I can afford most of it.
When did you have a roommate there before?
She had lived with me at an apartment prior for 2 years, and she was in our place together with us for maybe 4 or 5, 6 months at the most.
You mean when you were living together?
Correct.
So how much rent were you each paying?
I was still paying the $540, my portion, because I didn't want to get used to relying on someone else paying an additional portion of the rent.
Is that right?
Yeah, we were splitting half the rent.
Yeah.
Okay, but I didn't get any utilities of any kind from her because of the other roommate.
Yeah, because of Melissa.
What utilities?
Phone, electrical.
You mean Melissa didn't pay her own phone bill?
She did have her own phone, but she used mine quite often.
Sure, but she used her own phone. And what about the two
She
of
used
you?
mine quite often, too. Not to mention, she didn't have a car. I drove her everywhere she needed to go.
You plan on staying there in
I
the
plan on
house?
staying there simply for the fact that to move and to come up with first and last and security somewhere else would be a problem for me because financially this is putting me in the hole every month. The reason why, as far as the house goes, the reason why I wanted to rent a house and not an apartment is because I have a lot of tools and equipment on which I do a lot of work on cars and welding and things like that. I wanted a 2-car garage. And we were happy finding a house that had a 2-car garage so I could enjoy my hobbies.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I'm suspect that not one person answered these ads in the paper.
I've had 2 calls.
I'm sorry about that, sir. Listen to me. Get over it.
And later today,
When this was put through the mail slot in your dog jumped up. And when she jumped down, she hurt her back legs. So you're suing her.
Correct.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Nicholson is suing former live-in lover Michelle Shannon for rent he says she owes after she moved out.
This relationship clearly didn't work out. There were several alternatives. One alternative was for you to stay together in an acrimonious situation, which is untenable for people who are married and ridiculous for people who are not married. The defendant, as far as I could see, did everything she could to be reasonable. Reasonable was the relationship wasn't working out. She said, I'm going to pay December's rent. I'm not here. You can have the security deposit, which is another half month's rent. I'm being very fair with you. We shouldn't be together. Either make other arrangements for another roommate or tell the landlord that you're going to give the landlord 3 months to find a new tenant, but that you have to leave. You chose not to do that.
I did put my ads in the paper.
Sir, I can't tell, and quite frankly, I'm suspect that you did not find somebody, that not one person answered these ads in the paper.
I've had 2 calls.
For a house for $350 a month.
I've had 2 calls.
Well, I don't know what you said to them, and I don't know whether you're as angry with her, whether you're so angry with her and irritated with her that you say, I'm not going to try to mitigate the damages, but clearly you like staying in that house. You
Yes, I
just
do.
told me you can afford to stay in that house.
No, I cannot, by myself.
Well, if you can't afford to stay in the house, sir, then what I absolutely advise you to do is to let the landlord know that you have to move out. You still have her half of the security deposit, which would amount to 1 month's rent. I am going to give you 1/2 of another month's rent of hers, or $500. You find somebody else to live with, or let your landlord know that they have 3 months grace to do that, and you would each pay for half of that.
And if they take me to court for the remainder of the lease?
I'm sorry about that, sir. Listen to me. Get over it.
I'm over it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thanks for nothing. She's undedicated and undevoted and doesn't know what loyalty is, and she was cheating on me, seeing someone at her work.
I didn't want to be with him anymore, and I did not cheat on him. I would just like to say that.
And now the next case.
All parties on Hennigan versus Clifford. Step forward, please.
Real estate agent Betty Hennigan says Irene Clifford caused her toy fox terrier, Speckles, to be injured.
All right. Now, Miss Hennigan.
Yes.
This is the dog in question.
This is Speckles.
Very nice dog. According to your complaint, you and the defendant live in the same housing complex, is that right?
That's correct.
Your complaint indicates that the defendant put some political propaganda in your mail slot, which is in the door.
Correct. Excuse me, can I just say that it was her flyer. I didn't physically see her, but I'm sure she authorized the propaganda.
So you didn't see her put it in, but it was her propaganda that was slipped through your door. She authorized somebody to do it.
Correct, Your Honor.
And when this was put through the mail slot in your door, your dog jumped up.
Correct.
And when she jumped down, she hurt her back legs.
Correct.
So you're suing her.
Correct. Your Honor, if I just might add, it really isn't funny if anybody ever heard a dog yelp in excruciating pain.
I don't think that that's why anyone in the court gallery is chuckling, Miss Hennigan. I think that the reason they're chuckling is how you could blame that on somebody else.
Well, the reason I blamed it on somebody else is that would be the same as somebody violating my privacy, that mail slot is to be used only by U.S. postal employees, and I do have a statement and an investigation that's going on by the postal authorities because not anybody is supposed to be able to go into your mailbox.
Miss Clifford.
Yes.
You don't look like a terrorist.
No, I'm not.
So I'd like to know what kind of political propaganda this was that was slipped through her door.
Well, it was one sheet of paper. This happened on February 2nd. We were having voting on February 4th. And
voting for what?
To elect, well, really to remove 2 dissident directors from the board of directors and to elect 2 new directors. Now, Ms. Hennigan moved in late in March, I understand, and she joined up with the dissident group, which is about 20 or 30 people. So I have here a list of 26 things that went through her door.
Just show me the one.
Weren't invasion of privacy.
Just a second. I'm not worried about invasion. Just show me, please, what the document is that you're complaining of, Miss Hennigan, if you still have it.
This document actually has my little dog's teeth right in the top of it.
All right. Let me see this. Let me see this.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have not taught your dog to read, is that right? Dog doesn't read.
No, but the dog does not have to have mail delivered at 20 to 8 at night.
And your dog knows how to tell the time?
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Betty Hennigan claims neighbor Irene Clifford caused injury to her fox terrier, Speckles.
All right. So this isn't clearly not a terrorist propaganda. This says, warning to all members from Irene Clifford. That's you.
Right.
And then it encourages you, the people, to come and vote.
Correct.
At the next meeting of the cooperative board.
Correct.
Or
Members.
to elect new members, etc. Ms. Hennigan, I'm going to let you finish telling me about why you think. First of all, I'm going to ask Ms. Clifford, did you actually put this through her door, or did somebody else?
No, I didn't. I have a map here. I was in my unit here, and this is the unit where it was delivered.
But Irene, you authorized
half a block
somebody.
away.
Ms. Hennigan, don't speak to her.
I'm sorry.
You did not personally deliver
No,
this.
I did not.
But this came from you and you gave it to other members of the board to deliver?
They weren't on the board yet.
Okay, but you gave it to other members and everybody put it through the mail slots.
Right,
Is
which
that right?
we've done for 26 years since before she moved in.
All right, so if you want to notify somebody of a meeting,
right.
You want to notify someone that the water is going to be shut off.
Right.
Or that the electricity is going to be shut off, what you do is you take a flyer and you put it through the mail.
In the townhouses, in the garden apartments, they tack them to our door because we don't have the openings. We have a main one for 17 units.
Okay, but in the houses, this lady has it through her door.
Right.
Okay. Why you have your hand up?
Well, because when they announce when the meetings are going to take place, they do put a flyer. It's on a fence before it goes into a grassed-in area, and there's also a bulletin board near the on-site manager's office. And when we want to find out when there are going to be meetings held, we have to look there. It is not a common practice. There's postings for the meetings.
Ms. Hennigan, listen to me very carefully.
Yes.
How long have you been living there?
I've been living there since August.
Okay. And you have your mail delivered there?
Yes, I do.
And the mail is delivered through the door slot?
Correct.
And the mailman delivers the mail there, other than holidays, 6 days a week?
Correct.
You have not taught your dog to read, is that right?
That's correct.
So the dog cannot differentiate whether there is political propaganda or a piece of mail coming through your door slat. Is that right?
No, the
Is that
dog
right?
doesn't.
Dog doesn't read.
No, but the dog does not have to have mail delivered at 20 to 8 at night. I actually truly introduced my dog to our mail person. It's a mail lady, and she does know the dog, and she exercises a little bit of concern, of caution. She doesn't want to be hurt in the mail slot, nor did I want my little dog hurt. This was 20 at 8 at night, Your Honor. It wasn't during a normal time of day when the U.S. Postal would be delivering mail.
And your dog knows how to tell the time?
No, but the dog does know when it's dark out.
Miss Hennigan, it could be dark out when it's dark in the morning because it's raining and that's when the postman delivers. You were irritated because this came through your door and because your dog was injured. But that doesn't mean she's responsible because she happens to be the author of this piece of paper. You're being ridiculous, madam. You're being ridiculous.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
Your complaint is ludicrous. Your complaint is absolutely ludicrous. You put a notification that she did not put through the door. You have no proof that she put it through the door, despite the fact that it has her name on it. She did not put it through the door. And you're suing this lady because your dog jumped up. Has your dog ever jumped up like that before?
Yes, my dog jumps, yes.
Jumped up like that for mail before.
But she was never hurt.
Has your dog ever jumped up like that for mail before?
Yes, she has.
All right. So that you've seen it.
Yes.
Then what you do is you put a basket there, you put a sign there, put my mail outside, because you're the one that had noticed that your dog jumps up for the mail. She doesn't have that notice.
But, Your Honor, I even have it from the postal inspector.
You told me postal inspector 4 times. I'm telling you common sense, madam. Common sense. She's not responsible for this. Don't be ridiculous. And I'm going to tell you something else. If you live in a cooperative apartment or if you live in a condominium where everybody is supposed to get along, to start this kind of difficulty over nonsense is not a good way to start being a good neighbor. Your case is dismissed, that's all.
Your
Parties
Honor,
are
excuse me.
excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, for her 8-year-old daughter's care, Shawneen claims her daughter Kayleen was injured falling off the monkey bars.
All rise. Now, this is case number 656 on the calendar in the matter of Grant Family Daycare versus Bachman. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Grant, you run an after-school program or a daycare center?
Yes, I do.
You're suing for a relatively small amount of money, $139. And that $139 is because the defendant withdrew her daughter from your program.
Yes.
And failed to give you 2 weeks' notice.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not that she had the service, it's just that in violation of the contract, she withdrew the child without giving you an appropriate amount of time to get somebody to fill her spot.
Correct.
And Ms. Bachman, you say there was very good reason for that.
Yes, there was.
So I'd like to hear that.
On December 21st, I went to pick my daughter up, and, you know, I signed her out, and that was it. They said goodbye, and so my daughter, Kayleen, kept saying her wrist had hurt. So I looked at it, and it was swollen, and then on her left hand, there was dried up blood. So then I told my daughter if it still hurt, I would take her to the doctors. I didn't think it was that important because no one told me that she was hurt when I picked her up.
Well, did she tell you she was hurt?
She did, but I didn't think it was that major because I wasn't aware of it when I picked her up. So I looked at it and, you know, it was a little swollen. And so then the next day I asked Julie what had happened. She told me what happened.
What did she tell you?
That she wasn't there. One of her daycare assistants was there, and they took care of her, and they put ice on her wrist.
Tell me what happened.
Kayleen?
You want to tell me what happened at the daycare center with her little girl?
Yes. On the day in question, the 21st, she was on the A-bars that we have in my backyard. I have pictures to show what the A-bars look like. Here you go. And apparently she fell on off of the A-bars where the little boy is in the picture.
and came to the daycare people, the two helpers that I have, Miss Esther and Miss Marissa, and told her that she had hurt her arm, and they asked her if she needed ice. She wasn't crying, to my knowledge, and so they brought her in and gave her ice, and she was there for about approximately 10 or 15 minutes. At that time, she ran back out to play and proceeded to do the same thing again. And they asked the second time if she wanted to have the ice on her, and she declined the second time.
Go ahead.
When I got home that day, the helpers told me what had happened, and in fact, Kayleen actually came to me and said, I hurt my arm, and I said, are you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm fine. And then she went back to play. Now, when her mom came that evening, I did tell her what went on.
What did you tell her?
I told her that she fell off of the bars, and that I'm really sorry that she did that. We put ice on it, but I happened to notice there was a little red spot in her arm. I said, but it went away right after that. I have 2 letters from my helpers who are currently right now watching my children as we speak.
I can't accept letters from your helpers.
What we do have the sign, the ouch slip essentially, which was indicating of the injury.
You have a what?
We call it an ouch slip. It's essentially an indication to the parent of what actually occurred during that
And you
day.
gave that to the defendant?
No, she did not. No, I did not.
You did not?
No.
Why didn't you give it to her?
Because apparently when she came the following day, there had been nothing written in my book to state. We keep a record of all of the injuries that happen in the daycare, and on that day in question, my helper forgot to write it down. But I assured her when she came that second day that I would have her write it down, and she would have an ouch slip when she came back.
And as a result of that, you withdrew your child from the school?
I mean, there's been more than one incident. Yes, that's why I took her out. One of the reasons.
But it was immediately after this that you took her out. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now what I'd like to see is this book that you have.
Sure.
You're licensed by the state?
Yes, I am.
Which state?
The state of California.
And how many children are you allowed to have in your facility?
I'm allowed to have 14 children.
And this is in your private house,
My
is that
private
right?
home.
How many children did you have the day she was injured?
Maybe 8 to 10.
And you say you had 2 helpers there?
Yes, I did.
What is the background of these 2 helpers?
They are a mother who has an associate arts degree in early childhood education, and at the time, a 17-year-old helper who's a senior in high school.
Where were you?
I was out picking up food for the daycare.
Are you allowed to be off the premises?
Yes, I am, as long as I have 2 helpers that are qualified by the state to be there.
17-year-old is qualified by the state? I don't see how a 17-year-old can be qualified by the state.
She has a fingerprints that are sent to the state. Yes, I don't have evidence that she's left.
You mean she doesn't have to have any training? All she has to do is be fingerprinted?
Fingerprinted and a child abuse index card put on her, sent to the state of Department of Justice in Sacramento.
Are you telling me that in order to care for children, all you need to be is not a convicted felon?
Correct.
That sounds outrageous to me. It would seem to me that you have, if you were smart, a higher responsibility. And that higher responsibility is to hire somebody, if you're not going to be there, that's older than 17 years old, if you're going to have 10 children that they're going to have to monitor.
Your Honor, my other helper is 28 or 29 years old, and she's a mom, and she's the one with the associate arts degree.
She has an associate's degree. That means she's been to college for 2 years.
Yes.
That, Judge, generally is the qualifications that we find that most providers have in the industry.
That doesn't make it right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I think you're pretty slick. Because nobody gives this kind of a note when somebody makes them a present. Unless you have a good story that you'd like to concoct for me as to why you gave him this note.
It was to pay back the money.
Right! Now you got it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chris and Julie Grant of Heart to Heart Daycare are suing Sheindlin Bachman for not paying for her 8-year-old daughter's care. Sheindlin claims her daughter Kayleen was injured while under their supervision.
I'm going to quote some of the things you said to me in your testimony, Ms. Grant. You said that one of your helpers, how old are you?
8.
Asked the 8-year-old if she wanted ice. The 8-year-old said no, so she didn't give her anything the second time she was injured. A person with a certain amount of experience, a certain amount of training, would not allow an 8-year-old to choose the method of treatment for an injury. Somebody who had brains would say this is the second time the child fell on the same wrist, and I have to take some action with regard to this, right? And the person that you think was qualified did not. So I think that the defendant had an absolute right and an obligation to remove her child from your daycare that very moment. And the fact that she didn't give you 2 weeks' notice is a testament to her good judgment. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just very frustrated, that's all. Seems the daycare people can't get a break, and they don't get paid very well either.
I was going down a ladder, and when I was going down, my hand had slipped, and there was a ditch right where I fell, and my hand was stuck there like this for about a minute or 2.
And now the next case.
All parties on Bauer versus Bauer. Step forward, please.
45-year-old toolmaker Joseph Bauer is suing his ex-wife, 35-year-old veterinarian assistant Brandy Bauer, for a car loan and rent. Brandy claims Joseph was abusive.
Mr. Bauer, how long were you and the defendant married?
8 years, ma'am.
When were you divorced?
1995 was when the divorce proceedings started.
When were they concluded?
1997.
It's your claim, sir, that sometime after you separated from your wife, you made a series of loans to her.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me, when were these loans made and what were they for, sir?
Well, my ex-wife and I separated, and she came to me and told me that she needed to have money for a car so that she could get a job. My main concern was that the welfare of my daughter, and without a...
Who was the child living with at the time?
At the time, she was living with Brandy.
Okay.
And she told me that she needed money for a car so she could secure a job. I told her that for me to do that, I would have to take out a share loan from my profit sharing at my work. And I had to have the money back. It was a loan. Any kind of early withdrawal would have caused me penalties both for an early withdrawal and for the tax purposes because it was a capital gain. She said, okay. She told me I could hold the pink slip on the car that she purchased as security on the loan. And so I made the payments real reasonable, $100 a month with no interest. I gave her the money, approximately $3,400. Within just a couple weeks, she came back to me and told me that she couldn't get a car for that much money. She needed another $1,000. I said, well, if you're going to do that, I want some kind of notarized paperwork saying that you have the loan with me so that we can get this up above board. I asked her for the loan, for some kind of paperwork for that. She gave me a handwritten note that said that she had borrowed now $4,400.
Do you have that note?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it?
Here's the originals. And here's the bank draft for the withdrawal for the money.
You took this note?
She gave that to me. She would not give me a notarized copy of
Just a second. Had you already given her the other $1,000 when she gave you this note?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was the only note she gave you?
She wouldn't give me anything else besides that.
Because...
She says it's a gift of money.
That's what it says. It says, I, Brandy Bauer, on this day, Friday, the 29th of September, 1995, in agreement with Joseph, this note will be exchanged to Joseph for a gift of money in the amount of $4,400.
Ma'am, I wasn't present when she gave me that.
No. But that's what she wrote.
Yes, ma'am.
And this shows that you took the money out on the 25th of you took out $1,000.
$2,000.
$2,000. But you only gave her $1,000 on that day. What'd you do with the other $1,000? You took out $3,400.
Yes, ma'am.
And then she said she came back to you sometime later and said, I can't get a car for $3,400. I need another $1,000.
Yes, ma'am. So I took out the $2,000.
$2,000.
Gave her $1,000 of that money.
Yeah.
and held on to $1,000 because I knew she was going to need to secure insurance and the registration for the car. I wanted the pink slip with my name on it.
Okay. So out of this $2,000, you gave her $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's a total of $4,400.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else, sir?
She came to me a couple weeks after that and told me that she was going to get evicted from her apartment. She needed $500 to keep herself from getting evicted. I was worried for the safety and welfare of my daughter. At that time, I decided to make a conscious decision to throw good money after bad and loan her another $500. And I never saw a dime from that day on.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He made you loans. He may have hoped that if he made you the series of loans, you would feel kindly towards him and take them back.
Oh, yes, I know for a fact.
So what?
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Joseph Bauer claims his ex-wife, Brandy Bauer, still owes him for a car loan and rent.
Okay, let's hear.
Well, the point that he says that she was living with me is not true. She was living with Joe. The car was for my benefit to help me in my business.
Why would he do that?
He was trying to reconcile at that time because I had left in 1995. He was put in jail for spousal abuse. It was traumatic at that time.
He was put in jail for spousal abuse, but meanwhile your daughter was living with him, so there must have been a reason for that.
I couldn't financially make the means for me to support her and myself. And so she was with him at that time. At a later time, she came back with me.
Okay. He gave you $3,400 and he gave you an additional $1,000 because you didn't...
That's not true.
What's not true?
He did not give me additional $1,000.
Did you write this note?
Yes, ma'am.
This note says $4,400.
Oh, you're right, you're right. Yes, I did get that money at that time for
so
a
you
car.
got $3,400, you got an extra $1,000.
Yes.
And another $500 for an apartment.
No, I lived at my own place. I paid for it to get in.
Because he says that he gave you another $500 because you were going to be evicted from your apartment.
That's not true.
Is it not true like the other $1,000 wasn't true?
No, the $1,000 is.
You mean, but you just remembered that?
Yes.
You want me to tell you something, Mrs. Bauer? I think you're pretty slick. And let me tell you why I think you're pretty slick. When somebody gives you a gift, which you're saying that these were gifts. I have never, in all of my experience, seen somebody write a note that says, in exchange for the gift, I'm giving you this piece of paper in exchange for your gift. So his story has a ring of truth to it, that he gave you this money, you were supposed to pay him back. When he said, please give me a notarized paper, or a piece of paper that says, I promise to pay you back, you already had the money in your possession. So what you gave him was this, and you said, there you go, I gotcha. Because nobody gives this kind of a note when somebody makes them a present. Do you understand? Unless you have a good story that you'd like to concoct for me as to why you gave him this note.
He didn't have to take that note. He didn't have to take it.
He wanted a note. At the time, he wanted a note. What did he want a note for? Try to think of something, Mrs. Bauer. What would he want the note for? Just to say, like a thank you note?
Right.
Like a thank you note?
No.
Well, what do you think this note was supposed to be for?
I understand. It was to pay back the money.
Right. Now you got it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
So why didn't you pay him back?
I don't believe I owe it to him.
Shh. Why?
Things that had transpired in that time, I had left for spousal abuse with my daughter at that time. We had left. That was May of 1995. I was now living with my daughter June 1995 in another place. He was trying to reconcile, and in his attempts to try and get back together, he was willing to do anything.
give me money, help me with my rent.
He was willing to do anything to try to get his family back together. Is that right?
Right.
All right. And you said, I need a car, and I'll pay you back. I need another $1,000, and I'll pay you back. And you wrote out this note, the thank you note, right? You still haven't told me why you don't think that you ought to pay him back.
Because I knew his intentions behind loaning me the money. He was
Good. You read his mind as to what his intentions were, according to you, what you just said to me, for loaning you the money. What were his intentions for loaning you the money?
That he and I and my daughter, our daughter, would get back together, which I never once told him that that would be a way for us to be back together.
So that's what you assumed he gave you the loans for. Is that
right?
Oh,
yes, I know for a fact.
So what? He made you loans. He may have hoped that if he made you the series of loans, you would feel kindly towards him and take them back. That doesn't make a loan a gift. That makes it a loan in anticipation of maybe, along with getting paid back, maybe you'll get back together again. And if you got back together again, maybe you would say, listen, if we're all a family, then you don't have to pay me back. But that didn't happen. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,900.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, maker Michael Bemis claims his ex-wife, 36-year-old real estate appraiser Linda Bemis, trashed his property.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 604 on the calendar in the matter of Bemis versus Bemis. Parties have been sworn in.
What is that?
I don't know, Judge.
Would you get rid of it, please?
Sure thing. You may be seated.
Mr. Bemis, this is not show and tell, sir.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. Thank you. According to your complaint, sir, you were married to the defendant for 10 years, separated, subsequently divorced. That your wife threw away some of your property.
This is correct.
Suing her for the alleged value of your property. Your wife says, your former wife says she gave you ample opportunity to get your stuff. When you didn't come and pick it up, she threw it out. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This is incorrect.
When were you separated?
April of '96, she filed for divorce after 10 years of marriage.
Fine. Were you out of the house at that time, sir?
13 months later, Your Honor, I moved out. And we had a verbal agreement that I would get my things out of there when I had a place to put them in, Your Honor. And it wasn't in writing, but it was a verbal agreement. She had the house that we were both buying for 10 years. She got the children. And she understood that I had to start over and find a place. And
Don't tell me what she understood. According to you, you had a verbal agreement that she would hold on to your things.
That's right.
Until you had an opportunity to remove them.
And there was a number of things, Your Honor. A list of about 18 items that I haven't received back, drafting table, etc.
Just a second. Mr. Bemis, I guarantee you can't talk faster than I can. Now, when did you get a place to live?
The next day.
Okay. So on the 16th of May, you got a place to live. Are you still there now?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
In the same place that you got on the 16th of May of 1997?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I assume that you called her immediately and said, I have a place, I can get my things.
That's not exactly true because there was a lot of things over 10 years living together and accumulating. The place I got was like a little garage, a little bigger than a garage, and there was not room for all my things.
You moved out of the home May 15th, 1997.
That's correct.
You got a place to live on May 16th, 1997.
That's correct.
It is the place that you live in today.
That's correct.
So you haven't moved. So if it's the same place you're living in today, court must assume that it's the place to which you wish to take your property.
Well, okay, but there's not that.
Okay, I don't know what that means, Mr. Bemis.
Let's
stop playing with each other.
I need to explain, if I may. I did send my ex-wife a certified letter in April asking her how can I retrieve my items. The certified letter was returned. I called the defendant on the telephone. I said, how can we work out this situation so we don't have to you go through your threats of throwing all my things away in a dumpster? She said, I returned it because I didn't want to hear what you had to say. It's all being thrown away and hung up on me.
And you threw away his stuff?
Yes.
When did you throw away his stuff?
On April 14th, I sent a registered letter to him stating that I was giving him 30 days to get the stuff, to make arrangements to get the stuff out. I do have the letter that he sent me.
Let me see it.
He did pick up things throughout the year. He would call and say, I need this, I can't find this, will you look for it? And I would do that.
Sir, you wrote this letter and you said, and it's dated 5/12/98. And it says, Linda, I need to know what items you are talking about throwing out. These are my personal things, so I want to tell you nothing gets thrown out unless I say it's okay. Is that clear? And you have it underlined. How would you like me to arrange for pickup of my things? If my things really bother you, simply place them in my shed, my Christmas gift. I do not have a place for my dog or my shed at this time. You are so kind and understanding, Michael. This is 2 years and plus after you separated.
I don't think so.
Also, you just told me, sir,
I moved
that
out.
you filed for divorce.
Well,
or served your papers in April of 1996.
But I lived there until May 15th of 97, Your Honor.
I understand that. The two of you lived together with your children. You have children?
Two.
2 little kids.
In a war zone for 13 months.
Well, it really wasn't a battle for 13 months.
Excuse me?
It really wasn't a battle when we were there. It's like she didn't really want to leave, and she goes, if you want to leave, go ahead and leave. But I've been buying this house for 10 years, so...
Oh, I understand the whole thing, Mr. Bemis. I've been there, done that.
Right.
Got the T-shirt. Now, let me see the items that you are complaining about, Mr. Bemis.
And these are important items to me, Your Honor. Things I use for my business, personal use, I've been collecting for over 10 years.
Let me ask you this question. Can I see a copy of your judgment to divorce?
Here's another one.
What date did you finally dispose of a lot of this stuff?
I did it the week after the 15th. I waited.
Of what year?
Of 1998.
Well, you had until 1997, sir, to get your stuff out of the garage. You had to be totally gone by June 30th, 1997, pursuant to court order.
There was a little twist on that, Your Honor, if I may explain. Prior to right after the 15th, and I think Linda Bemis here will agree to that, everything became obsolete. That didn't work.
No,
okay?
Sir, I'm reading you from the court order. The court
okay,
order.
let me finish explaining.
Go ahead. You have a court order that modifies this order?
Yes.
Can I see it, please?
What happened, Your Honor, is she filed a restraining order and gave me, myself, 48 hours to leave my home and my children and take everything I could on my back in 48 hours. That's what happened.
Well, here we have another order of the judge of the Superior Court that says, sir, that you are to move no later than 5/18/97 at 12 noon out of the house, and you are to take with you all of your clothing, personal effects, including his shop and equipment belonging to Bemis Water Skis.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, so we got that order.
You're exactly right. But can I explain? 48 hours was not enough time to get all my things out when I didn't have a place to put them.
So you appeal it. So you appeal it.
Well, I'm not an attorney, so I just asked
Well, then what are you complaining to me for, sir?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You don't have a legal leg to stand on, Mr. Bemis. Get over it, sir.
Okay, Your Honor.
Get over it, sir. You don't have a legal leg to stand on.
And later today,
you had no right to let anybody else drive the car.
No, I made a mistake.
Yes, you did.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. After 10 years of marriage, then a divorce, Michael Bemis is suing his ex-wife, Linda Bemis, for throwing his stuff away.
Mr. Bemis, right now, these are the orders that I have. I am not an appellate judge for these people. She has an absolute right, after these dates, to do whatever she wants with your things.
Even though we had an agreement, she can throw my things out.
She can do whatever she wants with the stuff, sir.
Oh.
She told you that she was disposing of the stuff. The fact she didn't even do it May or June of 97, she waited a year.
11 months. 10 months. You know? But, Your Honor, can I explain, please? She understood.
Explain nothing.
She understood.
Mr. Bemis, explain nothing, sir. She didn't say on the 18th of May or on the 19th of May at midnight, I'm going to take his stuff and trash it.
But I did send her a certified letter saying I'd want nothing thrown away.
Who gives a rat's behind whether you send her a letter? A judge of the Superior Court said, get your stuff out of there. You don't have a legal leg to stand on, Mr. Bemis. Get over it, sir.
Okay, Your Honor.
Get over it, sir. You don't have a legal leg to stand on.
Can I say
She
this?
gave you an additional 11 months. An additional...
She did me a favor, you're saying.
Yeah, she did you a favor. She did you a favor. That doesn't mean a court has to...
48-hour notice on a lie. Can I explain that, Your Honor?
No.
Okay.
Your case is dismissed. And goodbye.
Parties are excused. Step out, please. Out the back door to your right, please.
I just hope that now he can get on with his life and stop bothering me.
I feel she was really wrong. I tried my best to get these items out of there. She just figured, she's told me I'll do whatever I want.
And now the next case.
Parties on Edgar versus Cole. Step forward, please.
22-year-old Matt Edgar claims 19-year-old swimsuit salesperson Sarah Cole borrowed his 1987 Jeep and blew the engine. Sarah says she wasn't driving.
Not a very difficult case. Mr. Edgar, you are the owner of a 1987 Jeep Wrangler.
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Cole, you are the owner of a Mitsubishi 3000.
Yes, sir.
That's a sporty car.
Yes.
You wanted to drive, according to him, you wanted to drive his Jeep, and he at one point also wanted to drive your 3000. Mm-hmm. So you exchanged them for a day. That's your story, correct?
Yes,
you were driving his car, and you had a friend with you. Your friend said, oh, I want to drive this car. So you let your friend drive the car. And the engine blew up. He wants you to pay for it. Is that your story?
Yes, ma'am, but it just did not blow up by itself.
Do you have a mechanic here?
No, ma'am, I don't. I have the paperwork from it, though.
No, let me see the paperwork.
One from the dealership and one from my mechanic that has worked on it in the past.
When did this incident happen?
December 15th.
December 15th of 98?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm not reading his professional opinion because I can't take his professional opinions are all, but I will accept this letter for what it says is that he worked on the transmission and the flywheel of the car in August of 98, your Jeep, and it was in good working condition in August of 98.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The whole thing with the engine blowing up is a four-wheel drive. It was.
I understand.
Okay.
Your position is that she must have driven it wrong in the four-wheel drive and then it blew up, whatever. This letter, to whom it may concern, January 13th, he towed his Jeep into us. Jeep wouldn't start and was leaking oil. We inspected the vehicle and the engine was blown with a 3-inch hole on the side. At this time, the vehicle was locked in four-wheel drive.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The car was not in good condition.
What was wrong with it?
Well, it was old. It was a piece of... I'm sorry. Sorry.
Sit down.
Okay.
Closed captioning, sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Matt Edgar says Sarah Cole borrowed his Jeep and ruined it.
Ms. Cole, you have a somewhat different story about how you had possession of this Jeep.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why don't you tell me your story?
Okay, I was at work at LA Tan. I had started working at 9 o'clock. Clark brought up that Jeep and asked me if he could take my car. He was going to put some engine oil in it to make it run better. And I said, yes, you can do that. And he didn't show back by the time I got off at work. So I did drive the car. I mean, I'd driven the car once before. I didn't think it was a big deal. And we only had it for about an hour before it did this. We only had it in four-wheel drive for maybe 25 feet.
Miss Cole, you had driven his Jeep before?
Yes.
Had she driven your car before?
Not to my knowledge, no, ma'am, I didn't know.
Where did you drive the car before?
To school one time, but I never borrowed the car from him.
You borrowed it from somebody who had borrowed it from him?
Yes, Clark, who had left the car.
Okay. But you had driven the car before?
Yes, one other time.
So the reason you're telling me you took the car, his Jeep, was because he left the Jeep and the keys?
Yes, ma'am.
At your place of business?
Yes.
And said, I'll take your Mitsubishi and put some oil in it?
Yes, and he was my friend, so I was going to let him do that. I mean.
Well, that's fine. You had no right to let anybody else drive the car.
No, I made a mistake.
Yes, you did. Because according to you, you had driven the car before with no incident, right?
Yes.
So even taking your statement at full face value and considering it to be true, you almost had tacit permission of his to drive the car. But he didn't give permission to your friend to drive the car. Is this the person who drove the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Where's the estimate to have the car fixed? Did you have the car fixed?
Not yet, because in order to do it, I was going to have to borrow money from my parents, and I do not want to do that. I'm too old for that.
Well, do you know what the book value is on this car?
No, ma'am, I did not get that.
What year car is this?
It's 87. It's a Jeep Wrangler Laredo.
A Jeep Wrangler Laredo?
Yes, ma'am.
Four-wheel drive?
Yes, ma'am, 6-cylinder.
6-cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
1987.
Yes, ma'am.
I must have back in my chambers my old trusty blue book. Just stay right here, because she's... Listen, sir, let us assume you had insurance on this kind of damage to the car.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Your insurance would say...
Oh, yeah, it's depreciation, I know that.
Your insurance would say, we're not going to pay $6,000 to fix the car if the car's only worth $2,000. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Keep him sitting.
Sure thing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY. On the internet, judgejudy.com.
All right. I feel like Inspector Clouseau. Miss Cole, before I give you the bad news, I got a couple of questions for Mr. Edgar.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you buy it?
1992.
And what did you pay for it?
I cannot remember. My parents bought it for me.
You couldn't.
No, I did not pay for any of it. It's $3,000 or $4,000, I believe, at the time.
Did they pay $3,000 for it or $4,000 for it?
One of the two. So I have no idea, but that's what I'm estimating. I did not know how much they paid for it. They bought me the car.
So you remember them telling you that they paid either $3,000 for it?
No, I'm saying that's probably what's the value of it.
What makes you think so?
Depreciation.
What kind of condition was the car in?
It was in fine condition. Had 45,000 miles on it. I remember that.
Are you dying to say something? You're the one who was driving the car?
I've been yes.
Well, you'd had no reason to drive that car.
I know I didn't, but, Clark gave it to Sarah. That's his friend. Clark borrowed the car from Matt. And then Clark had no business giving it to Sarah either.
You had no business driving the car. I'm believing what she's telling me, which is she had to drive the car because she had an emergency. She left work.
The car was not in good condition.
What was wrong with it?
Well, it was old. It was a piece of... I'm sorry. But no, it was not in perfect condition. I know it wasn't.
Sit down.
Okay.
Mr. Edgar.
Yes, ma'am.
If in perfect condition, the car is worth $65.25. The wholesale price of the car is $34.50. The mean, somewhere in the middle, if you add up those two numbers, is $4,987.50. That's what the car is probably worth. Now, The only other question that I have to ask you, Ms. Cole, is as follows. You have a nice Mitsubishi 3000? Hmm?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. Common sense would suggest to me that if somebody borrowed my car and without my knowledge let somebody else drive the car, and when that other person was driving the car, they either got into an accident or they hit a pole or the engine started to smoke all over the place, and there was some indication that it was because it was driven in gear. I mean, I don't know about these gear things. I don't touch the cars that have those doodads on it. But that I would think that that person was responsible. So judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,987.50. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy,